a stab at for many years. The Nike base has roughly, about 25 acres total.
The ones.
So 40, maybe 40 total.
Yeah.
Well, we had an agreement in sale with a German retailer to come and situate at that Nike base. But there has been many offers over the years to put housing in that particular place. And as a council and administration, we rebuffed that because at a time there was over 8,000 students in our K through 8 school district. Now we're at 6,500, and when people ask, well, why is there a reduction? Well, one, we tried to curb development. Two, the recession hit 2007, 2011, but there is an opportunity to put housing there, but as a council we said, no, we'll rather have a commercial development project there. So with that being said, we'll entertain any of your questions. Just raise your hand if you have a question, and then we will address it. I do want to remind you there is a 5-minute time limit per each speaker, and as Mr. Polidor had asked, we will extend it past the half hour of the meeting. I'm going to start with Ms. Dorsett first, Ms. Kelly, because she probably doesn't have a tax question, right? Okay. And then Mr. Hague, you'll be next.
Good evening. My name is Mrs. Kelly from Stone Ridge Run Townhomes. Again, as you know, I've been here to discuss the concern that we have with the Laurie's Tiki Bar, and I know that that's before the council right now for consideration on several items and several avenues as well. But what I do ask tonight is if you could provide me the process that myself and my neighbors can look into to begin to change the noise ordinance. Again, right now, as we know, it's 65 between that 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. Time frame. Again, as I shared with you previously, even at the 65 within a residential community that intersects with the commercial community, the noise emanating from that particular facility is excessive, extreme, and torturous. So what I would like to proactively do, along with other neighbors in our community, is to find out how we can come before the council to recommend a change in the noise ordinance.
Ms. Kelly, do you have a copy of the ordinance now?
I do, yes.
Okay, all right. I'd asked Mr. Carlemare to take a look at some of our surrounding communities for that. I did a little research as well. The city of Austin, which hosts the South by Southwest, I don't know the exact name, but they have a huge music festival. But there are over 200 musical venues there. And what they've tried to do is they've tried to have residents come into their center city, but they've had this issue with the noise and music. So there's a couple of things, and I'll share the link with you and send it to you. Did you receive my email last night?
I did, yes,
okay.
Thank you.
I understand you're heading towards mediation.
That is correct.
Now, do you know what's the next step with the owners of the property?
We'll go to mediation on the 1st. I guess we'll determine what the outcome of that is. If we have an agreement, my understanding is it's a binding agreement. If not, it will go back to court.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll send you the link, and Mr. Carlemare will probably reach out to you regarding the ordinance.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Now, I do know there's a lot of concerns for taxes here, but I do have 3 other residents who are here who would like to speak as well, just so that we know. But
I had said that Mr. Hague would come next. I'm sorry. He had raised his hand. Sir?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. My name is David Hague, 11 Fraser Road, Blackwood, New Jersey. You brought up the aggregation. I wasn't even going to bring that up, but that was, looking at the numbers, that was calculated when energy was a lot higher. I think the aggregation is 11.89 cents per kilowatt hour. PSE&G currently charges 9.9% cents on a kilowatt. My June bill would have cost me $35 more if I was under the aggregation. It's a bad deal for a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody.
Okay.
But it's a bad deal for a lot of people.
I have PSE&G as well, and your
I have my
numbers.
bill. I didn't bring it with me. I would have.
Okay.
It's 9.9% cents per.
Well, yeah, you always have the option to opt out.
I opted out.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
The taxes, of course. Your numbers say that it's 27% this year of the obligation from the total taxes. Last year was 26. Yeah, that's true. But the tax rate last year was 0.898 cents per hundred. This year is 1.008. Last time I went to school, that's 12.25% increase. That's a 12.25% increase. Right? not a 2% increase. That chart, I knew you were going to do it that way. I was a controller in the Navy. I handled tons of money. That chart is false.
Okay.
Right? Yes, it is saying it's a 27% increase of your tax, or a 27% portion. Last year was 26, but that's overall, because the overall tax rate went up 8.2%. Values of the properties are going down. Big time. My house is assessed at 193.6. Tallulah has it assessed at 176 even. There's a house around the corner at 67 Argyle. It's assessed at 196. It's been for sale over 100 days at 128,000 and no buyers. The township properties are going down. Why is that, sir? You're raving about it, how the township is great and all that. Values in this township are going down.
This is how it works. If you want me to respond, I can respond.
Respond, stop the clock.
Oh, stop the clock, please. So your question?
Go ahead.
Your question to me. You had, why are
Township properties going down?
township properties going down? As far as market value?
I just gave you an example. Right now, at 67 Argyle, it's been for sale for over 100 days on Tallulah. The township has a property. You go to the WIP website. The township has it assessed at 198.6. It's been on sale for 128,000, just a shade under 128,000. No buyers, and the house is not in bad shape.
I can't explain why there's not a buyer for that particular
Neither
house.
can I, but why are township properties going down?
Why-
Everybody's are going down. My house is assessed at 193.6. Tallulah has it valued at 176.
I can't tell you why that particular why that house is valued at that amount.
Well, it needs to be every house here. Am I the only one here saying no? Yeah, they're going down.
Compared to the reassessment.
Yeah, it's time for reassessment.
Right.
That's February, right? You gotta pay $25.
A reassessment took place in our community in 2010.
Values are too high. The values are overvalued.
Right.
No.
My neighbor moved out and it got $249 for his house. Now it's worth about $180.
Mr. Hague, we're mandated by the Camden County Board of Taxation to do assessment every 10 years. At the time that assessment that took place, Mr. Palumbo, if I'm correct, it was 15 years at the time that we did our assessment in 2010.
Yeah, but they went up 100,000.
Went up too much.
But the assessment needs to be reassessed. Values are going down. The housing market in South Jersey has crashed.
That's the question.
They're going down. Sorry, it's fact. And we're paying the tax on the higher assessed value. Now, I realize that what would happen if you reevaluated, and they would go down, then you would say, oh, we need to increase instead of 12.25, we need to go up to 20. So, hey, I'm on a fixed income. I got to live within my budget. I think you guys should too. Thank you.
My name is Carol Worrell, and I'm a resident of Stonebridge Run. I'm here with Mrs. Kelly, and we are trying to work to get the noise ordinance changed, and I wanted to speak as matter of record.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Jasper Lucas, and I'm also a resident of Stonebridge Run. I'm here in support of Mrs. Kelly as well. And, we're headed to mediation, as she mentioned, on August 1st, try and resolve this problem with Valaris. But, it sounds like, from a meeting we had earlier that we're going to need to make some changes to the noise ordinance that's currently in effect. So, we're just basically strengthening numbers, just trying to support each other. Thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Mr. Lucas. Yes, ma'am. Judy?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Judy Murphy. I live in the Ariel section of town. I really want to know why there was no letter sent out beforehand. Whether an individual letter sent out to everyone that the tax bills were going up so people could prepare and be aware, and then come to and have questions before this particular meeting. And if it was due to budget constraints, then why wasn't a letter placed into the tax bill itself? So when I opened up that bill and had a heart attack, I would have been able to read.
Judy, a budget is introduced every spring. It's put on the municipal website. In fact, we have at least 5 years of budgets that are on the municipal website. There's a public hearing that takes place. That public hearing took April 25th, and 14 days prior to that, the 11th of April.
And there is, I mean, I've been involved in the township for a long time, you guys know that, but there's a lot of people that don't come to meetings, that don't read the notices in the newspaper, that don't even know about the township website. So years ago, we used to get a letter in the mail. I mean, I've been in this township 27 years, and we used to get a letter when the rates went up. And that just, to me, would have been somewhat of a courtesy to everyone, to make everybody aware that this is why your taxes went up. Now, I called the tax office, as well as called the mayor's office to find out why my taxes went up. And the mayor's office was very gracious to research for me what was done in the Ariel section of town, and I really do appreciate that from Gabby. So that was just my concern. My issue is why wasn't a notice sent out. When do you get reimbursed from FEMA? Will our taxes go down, whether it is one of the
Each penny, a penny on the tax rate is $440,000. So that is 1.2 that we're looking to expect back from FEMA. So you're looking at roughly 3 cents.
3 cents on 100? I mean,
Okay. Tom?
Tom, we can't hear you.
Yeah, I can't answer that question as to how that money would be applied. Because when we create a budget, we create the expenditure document, and then we add up all the revenues that we have available. I can't tell you right now what surplus will look like. The problem with this budget was an increase in appropriations of about $1,250,000 and a drop off in revenues of $3,294,000, and that's the 11 cents right there. The other part of this is it's a perfect storm because the county went up, the local school went up, the regional school went up. I don't know what the fire company did in your area, but with all those areas going up, it was a perfect storm for this problem.
Well, I will say on my tax bill, the municipality tax was 1.5 times the school tax. So to me, that was a significant increase just for the municipality. And I had heard that the police department is getting a new building. Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Rumors started.
Yes. Thank you for asking that, though.
And my last question is, my comment is, the pool, I have been on the recreation committee in the past. The pool has always been self-sufficient. It doesn't really, except for major issues. I know the pool was cracked one year, and that money came from the township. But basically, what people pay for the pool takes care of the pool system. Am I correct on that?
Judy, there's been
that
some
way?
major issues in that particular pool. It's been resurfaced, I think 2 out of the last 3 years. In addition to that, Tom, do you have anything to that? The pool is 40 years old.
So are we going to?
Yes, Judy?
Are we going to consider, and this is going back at least 20 years, are we looking to build a new pool somewhere or redo that pool come the fall? I mean, it's a cement pool. They don't even make cement pools anymore.
So you would want a new pool?
I'm asking if that is somewhere being considered for the budget. We spoke about it about 20 years ago, about building a pool in the southern end of town. It never happened because of money. And so I'm asking, is that a consideration, since you're just telling me that pool's over 40 years old?
No, that discussion has not taken place with council. Tom, is that taking place in the administration?
No discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Gentleman in the back in the blue. Sorry to point.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Dave Gentili. I'm a resident of Rosegate. My wife and I have just entered the retirement years, and we have found much about Gloucester Township to be proud of. It is a great place to live, work, and play. But I can empathize with my fellow constituents here that an oppressive tax rate might be doing much damage to those of us who want to stay and retire in Gloucester Township. Rather than move to North Carolina or South Carolina, even Rochester, New York, where I just visited, and I found that in their case, even in Rochester, New York, at the age of 65, there's a 20% rebate for senior citizens on their property taxes. So I guess my question, ladies and gentlemen, is I understand the demands, the issues associated with putting together a budget and subsidizing the many departments that we have here in Gloucester Township. But I hope and would ask that council maybe in the future consider some sort of tax reduction for its seniors, so that I don't know if you're considering the future demographics of Gloucester Township in 5 to 10 years from now, but I don't know how many seniors will be left here because it might not be affordable to remain in Gloucester Township. We want to stay. We want to stay in our home. We do like it here in Gloucester Township. But as one of the earlier gentlemen had stipulated, he's on a fixed income. Well, many of us are either on or will be on fixed incomes also. So again, I know the demands facing this council and facing many of the departments and services that are provided, but I hope at some point there is consideration to retaining those individuals that still have much to contribute to the life and well-being of this community at large. Many of us would still be volunteers or tutors or provide philanthropic support for many of the endeavors of Gloucester Township. But we have a tough decision to make in the next year. Are we going to relocate? And we have been looking. Or are we going to stay here in Gloucester Township? Our preference is to stay in Gloucester Township. But I think that would require some consideration to the impact that our disproportionate tax rate has on its senior citizens. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. I just want to make a statement. I don't have questions. I'm speaking on behalf of myself and possibly other seniors who, like myself, qualify for the property tax relief, the senior tax freeze. I have lived in my house for 37 years, more than half of my life. With my mortgage just recently paid off, at the age of 70 years old, I could still lose my house, not through mortgage problems, but because of taxes. Moving, the only real solution, would be almost impossible. Who would be so naive, and I had to substitute a word there, who would be so naive in this day and age to buy into Gloucester Township, to buy into such exorbitantly high taxes? And I'm surrounded by 5 empty houses on my street. On July 18th, I received my property tax relief check and the so-called tax freeze, and the new property tax bill on the same day. It was like a smack in the face. Gloucester Township increased my property taxes, so by the third payment due February 2017, Gloucester Township took back every single cent. Most of my relief amount will be given back to Gloucester Township this year. Seeing these two forms, the relief check and the tax bill, side by side, it almost definitely looks like the township waited to see how much my tax relief would be and figured out how to get it all back. It seems we never really do get any tax-free benefit at all. I, for one, do not have much left over from my Social Security, which is my only source of income. And with no air conditioning, my heater is down and I'm boiling water to take a bath. I thought I might be able to use my relief amount for some very needed home repairs and to take care of my 18-year-old car. That's what I foolishly thought. My tax relief check might be able to help me. That's what I foolishly thought relief might mean. No Social Security raise this year. However, a $500 tax raise instead. So next year, my cost of living raise, if there is one, will also go to Gloucester Township. It seems we never really get a tax benefit at all. We need the tax freeze to be true. The township tax is raised enough to take all and more of the relief amount. What's the deal? Again, it looks like the township waits to see the relief amount and then figures taxes to get it all back. I'd like to know what to do, how to go about petitioning or whatever for a tax freeze to show up through our property tax payments. A true tax freeze would be our tax payments would always be the same yearly. It is the only way some of us, a lot of us seniors, it's the only way I'll be able to stay in my home. The only way we will all see any benefit. I live on Good Intent Road, which is only a half a mile long, with 18 houses on each side. Out of 36 houses, 5 are empty. Only one with a for sale sign. The house directly across the street from me has been empty for 5.5 years. He died. It's somewhat taken care of, but about half the windows are boarded up. And you mentioned going around boarding up. Does that value our property when houses are boarded up on our same street? The house 2 doors down from me is empty. He left 3 months ago, just left the house. Not taking care of it all. It's all overgrown. He had a yard sale. All that stuff is still sitting in his back driveway. The rear buildings, he's got a garage and a couple other, but there's windows missing, doors open, and all visible from the street. So when I go to sell my house with the boarded house across the street and 2 doors down, who the heck is going to buy? The first house on Crestview and the first house on Clementon Avenue, directly off of Good Intent, are also empty. Good Intent Road is a throughway of traffic to and from the north-south freeway, speed limit being 25 miles an hour, with little regard to all the constant speeding, and there are no sidewalks, so it's very dangerous to take a walk, put the trash out, get your mail, or do anything. It seems maybe this small half-mile Good Intent Road, maybe this street should be reevaluated for overall lower taxes. Thank you.
Ma'am? Yes, sir, in the back.
You want to
White
answer her
shirt.
question? Are you going to answer her question in any way?
Sir, she said she had a comment. She made a statement. She wasn't asking for an answer.
Well, my name's Joe Williams. I live on Ridge Avenue, and I will add to her comment. If you go up and down the Black Horse Pike, which every one of yous do, from Mount Ethan to Blackwood, real estate is in the toilet. These houses that are boarded up and left alone, all you're doing by raising the taxes is you're creating more empty houses. More and more empty houses. And it's not my job to pay for the empty houses and the taxes that you're not getting. You gotta do something about this. These people are sick of this. They were already higher taxes. This isn't Mount Laurel.
Sir, you just shouted at me and then you walked away.
My name's Sandy Brooks. I live in the Glen Oak section of Gloucester Township.
Ms. Brooks?
Yes.
I've lived here for 17 years. I've lived here for 17 years, and when the mayor ran for re-election, he ran on not raising the municipal tax. So I was all in his corner while he fulfilled his promise to the taxpayers and voters. And now this year, we get a substantially the highest increase from all of our government services that pull from our property taxes. Mine went up $247.83 for municipal tax, and the local school tax went up $171. That was over 50% between those two for our higher taxes this year, which were both run by Gloucester Township. I don't understand, when my husband and I don't get an increase in our pay, we have to tighten our belts. I had to get a new roof, so other things sat and we just couldn't do them. Projects we couldn't do. I don't understand why they feel like everything, the township keeps doing it to make it a wonderful township, like everybody's saying. You know, a lot of other, believe it or not, when we have Gloucester Township Day and other things, most of the people aren't even from Gloucester Township to go. And we have to be paying for more police and other services for Gloucester Township Day. That's why other towns have stopped it, like Berlin and Stratford, because it's too expensive and they had to tighten their belt in this economy. And unfortunately, we don't seem to be able to do that. We're trying to provide everything at the expense of the taxpayers. And it's a shame because at my house, we have to tighten our belt when we're not making any more money, and we have to make change. And it might not make all the people that we're providing services for recreation, but that's not something that causes people to lose their homes or life or death because a field doesn't have turf on it. But our taxes, they do, and that's why a lot of people go into foreclosure, and they can't afford to pay their property tax. And then that runs the entire community down. So that's all I have to say. Mrs. Statement.
How you doing? My name's Tom Schwartz from 44 Old Forge Road in Millbridge. 2 years ago, I fought my taxes, and I asked for 20%. And they came back to me and said, I'll give you 10%. And I said, no, we'll take it to Trenton. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail stating they're going to give me 33% off. So what are people hiding? I don't understand it. I asked for 20, I got 33, because I said I was going to Trenton. Now, that's what I recommend everybody do here. Because they're hiding something. All right? Second, Millbridge Apartments. All the people, all the kids, all the people are living there. What do they pay in taxes? What do they pay?
The property manager, or the owner of
Okay, what's he pay?
Chuck, correct me if I'm wrong. They are the second highest taxpayer in the municipality.
Okay, but what is the population? Can we get that number?
The population.
He might be the second highest. I guess so. Look how many units he's got.
I couldn't tell you.
How many kids are in there? How many people are in there?
I couldn't tell you.
All right, well, give us the population so we know what it should be. Are we charging by the unit, or are we charging by his whole property? There's a lot of people that live in there.
I'm going to talk to our tax assessor, Mr.
They
Palumbo.
pay based on value.
Of what? They don't own nothing. Value of what?
Not the people, the owner.
The owner of the property.
Okay, what's he pay?
He pays taxes based on the value of the property.
Okay, what's the value of the property?
Value of this property.
Probably somewhere upwards of $30–40 million.
Okay.
$30 million.
Well, that's my question I want answered. If someone could give me definitive numbers on that, I'd appreciate it.
Come to my office.
And as far as everybody else goes, fight it and stop telling me you're going to take it to Trenton, because you get more that way.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Maria Gonzalez, and I lived in Four Seasons at Forest Meadows. It's a retirement community. I moved here in 2010 thinking this would be an idyllic, beautiful, quiet, peaceful place to live. I understand after I moved in that there was a gun club next to us, and I understand that some members of my community, I wasn't part of that, was in a lawsuit to eliminate the noise and the bullets going into some school or homes that are at the end of that farm. I backed to that farm where they have the shooting all the time. I understand that to reduce the noise, they required the farmer, and the mayor reached some kind of deal where he would have to create a barrier so the bullets wouldn't go into the properties of the school, and that apparently was done. The problem is that he didn't require that the noise be eliminated, and sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, after 10 o'clock, even including on Sundays, after 10 o'clock in the morning to whatever, the shooting goes on, and I don't know if I'm in the United States or in the Middle East. It is awful. I called the police one evening, it's on record, and had him come over to my house and sit on my deck and listen to this. It was like an automatic rifle going on, and he said that when he got the call to come to my house, he was over a mile away, and he could hear it. I called the mayor a couple times. He never returns my phone call. I've spoken to Gabby. He's too busy. He's traveling on business. He's on vacation. I can't get an answer. My neighbors that sued can't come up with a problem again because they're going to sue them if they bring it up. They had to sign some papers or something. And I wonder, my taxes went up. My house is, what I pay for my house is what it's worth now is nothing. I would have to leave. My husband's a senior. He's retired. I'm almost a senior. And I'm wondering what's going to happen to me. Everything I ever worked for is going down the drains here, and I can't even get this mayor to call me back. So here's my statement. If anybody here doesn't believe what it's like, please come to my property day or night, anytime, and you will hear the bullets going all the time.
Ms. Gonzalez, thank you for your comments. We were fully aware of the program. In fact, we were in litigation with them, and I'll let our solicitor who wants to add to that. But we made an offer on the property to the property owner, and that was declined. We were in litigation involved with some of the members of your community and also the gun range. There are some things that they had, some improvements and changes they had to make to alleviate some of the noise that's there. Mr. Carlmer, can you add anything to that?
The comments were pretty detailed. The township tried to, while that case was being initiated, the township made an offer to purchase the property through our open space, and that would eliminate the range with the owners as well as the operator declined, and it followed its way through litigation. A lot of the settlement was initiated between the parties litigant, which was the owners, and the operators and the residents. Township was joined in with some zoning issues. The case got basically settled to the extent that you just outlined with some redirection.
But it's been made worse. It's been made worse because it's now like the sound is ricocheting off of those walls, and it's worse, and you just can't simply live there. I hear these people complaining about the music, and I wonder if I want to trade with them. I'll trade them the bullets for the music. I mean, if you don't believe me, please try to live there. There's got to be something. I understand this man was grandfathered in. Years ago, he had this gun shop. There weren't all these developments. I get that. And I absolutely have nothing against guns. If he wants to teach shooting or have people do it for recreation there, I really couldn't give a damn. I just want something so I don't have to hear it day and night. You can't sleep. You can't rest. You just pop all the time. You can't sit in your backyard. You can't talk to somebody. It's a living hell. And on top of that, you raise my taxes and my house losing in value, so I can't even leave without losing a ton of money. I am going to have to leave Gloucester Township. I can't afford to live here. Go find somebody that can afford to pay your taxes and stuff. I can't do it. Excuse me?
Can you come up and provide your number to the clerk so I can have
Sure.
The mayor's office contact you? I will speak.
Don't make me laugh. The mayor will not return my phone call.
Email. If you don't email any of these people, they don't get back to me. Email is the only way.
And do you think he
I know.
really answers an
Believe me, I
email?
know.
There must be somebody
He's
that
gonna
probably
take my
got
daughter out of school right now. It's the only way to get
Just because they had the litigation and did whatever, now you just wash your hands and say, we did whatever we could, and now you got to live with the noise? Oh, sorry. Would you accept that in your homes? Tell me, honestly, all of you, individually, would you accept living like that?
That's why we tried to purchase the parcel of land from the...
So you're telling me you tried, it didn't work. What about enforcing noise?
We were also involved with litigation in that.
I understand my neighbors out of their own pocket, believe me, my neighbors out of their own pocket paid $20,000 to litigate this.
And the township...
My neighbors, okay? Okay.
And the township, on behalf of your community, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on litigation.
Well, then shame on you. You're inefficient.
Is there anyone else? Mr. Snag?
Yes. Rich Sinaglia, right here in Glen Oaks. City of Camden gets well over $60 million a year, well over $60 million a year. No questions asked from the state of New Jersey to maintain their tax rate. How do we get in on that good thing? Okay? You heard a lot of the people here tonight. A lot of people are having trouble just affording and paying their taxes. Okay? I'm not questioning the budget or anything like that. I want to know why Camden gets all of that aid, what they do to get all that aid, and we get absolutely nothing. Tell me how that works.
Rich,
They are supposed to maintain, as part of a memorandum of understanding, their tax rate. They get all of this money. If you look at their budget, 3D, just like the budget you have here, the white budget, that goes to the state, they get massive amounts of state aid. In the meantime, with all of that state aid, they bring in all of those companies and they give them tax abatements. Okay? Now, what is Gloucester Township going to do to avail themselves of the money that the state seems to have to give to certain municipalities?
Rich, as the former CFO of Camden City, you're aware why Camden City received a certain amount of money, and why
Yes,
suburban municipalities don't receive that. Tom, do we receive an extraordinary aid anymore?
No, they cut it
No.
out.
Has been cut out from the state of New Jersey.
I understand this. Now, that aid is not given by statute like Suntra or all the other ones, okay? This is strictly making a deal with Trenton or filling out an application for transitional aid or what have you. I'm sure very few municipalities get it. But why Camden? There's going to be a lot of people here that are going to be in Camden's situation in the near future, okay? Now, I notice in your budget, for example, there's some big non-reoccurring revenues. What's going to happen when you don't have that? A reserve for debt service of $1,900,000 in this year's budget. I don't know where that came from, but where is that going to be replaced? With what? Okay? Your surplus went down this year that you used in the prior year. So we're going to have the same problems. The question I have is, why Camden? I know that they're bankrupt. Okay?
Yes.
Without that aid, they would be under. I understand that. But what about aid to municipalities like us so that the senior citizens can live in their homes, okay? And what could council do about it, or our representatives do about it? Why does Camden have the ability to do it, and we don't?
Camden, Trenton, Atlantic City, Newark, okay, these are all municipalities that have received a substantial amount of aid from the state of New Jersey.
Correct.
Suburban communities such as ours, Rich, and you know this as well, do not receive that amount of aid. Extraordinary aid has been cut off. In addition to that, do we receive any more aid from the state?
We get $5,106,459, and that was frozen in 2012. There has not been an increase in that sense.
You know,
Why do we
Camden
fight that?
pays $14 million to the county. That's their share of the county tax rate. We pay over $35 million, okay? Now, they have more people than we have, even though we have more land, okay? And that, as Mr. Palumbo knows, is because they have over 50% of their ratables that are tax exempt. So they don't pay to the county on all those tax exempt properties, okay? So they catch a break there. The school, they pay $7 million as part of their share of a $300 million budget for their school levy, okay? Now, they're getting breaks with the schools, they're getting breaks with the county. They're getting well over $60 million a year, no questions asked, okay? They sent them an application, and you know what the excuse was on there? Schedule 3D, if you don't believe me? The fact that they had their ratables, they have tax exempt ratables of over 50%. Now, I'm saying, where is the equity? Where is the equity here? In a relative way, a lot of the people here have the same problems that people in Camden have. They haven't had tax increases for years and years and years. When you have to balance your budget and you use your surplus, your miscellaneous revenues, the whole 9 yards, you raise your taxes if you can't balance your budget. It's that simple, okay? In Camden, you can't do that, plus all the money that they get. So my question again is, what are we going to do, even if it's going to your local representatives, to make it more equitable? I'm not saying that we need $60 million. Our budget's a lot less. But the bottom line is something should be done about this inequity.
I agree.
That's my comment.
I agree. We can reach out to our state legislators, but again, Camden is a different animal, and Rich, you know this. You worked there for 37 years.
I know it's a different animal, but what I'm saying is if the state is going to be free with money and just giving it out with no questions asked, okay, for them to hold their tax rate, at the same time giving abatements and approving abatements for the 76ers, for Subaru, for what have you, okay? Isn't that a contradiction? If they're trying to bring the city back to a point where they're self-sufficient, why are they giving all the people that they bring in all these tax abatements? At the same time giving the city well over $60 million. And the city of Gloucester Township gets nothing. Why is that? Why do they only pay $7 million to the schools when we're paying $35 million or whatever that comes to? $40-some million is our share for the school. They're paying $7 million on a $300 million budget for their school board. Where is the equity here? Where is the equity? We are subsidizing Camden. Okay?
The whole region is.
And I can tell you something else too. The county took over the city's welfare. Many years ago, we were appropriating $1 million in our budget, 25% of the cost of welfare. The state gave us 75%, okay? That went into the county. The county people are subsidizing that, okay? Because I'm sure that Camden has the highest welfare amount of money being paid out for public assistance. So what they did, somebody figured, all right, let's shove it over to the county, we'll hide this, okay, and we'll have the county subsidize the welfare in Camden. All right? I mean, I know that for a fact. All right? These are the kind of things that go on that most of the people here are not familiar with. Now, I don't know if council's familiar with it or not. Sure, Tom is, whoever, finance person. But the bottom line is this is not fair. It's not equitable. And I'm even more emphatic about this because of some of the people who stood up here tonight, like not the last woman, the women before, about somebody that was in danger of losing their homes, okay? I know what I get a year, and I know it's tough to I have to come up with $2,200 in another week, okay? Every 3 months. That's a lot of money. There's some people that don't even make $2,200 a month, okay? So I'm sending it out to you, and I would hope that you would take that on, all right? Talk to Mr. Christie before he leaves office and see what, okay? We could build a hospital here if he wants to support Booker Hospital, that's fine, okay?
Thank you.
So I think you know what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, sir, you're after Ms. Carr, okay?
Sorry,
Jump in the line.
didn't mean to butt in. Joanne Carr, Timber Birch. When you were giving the explanations in the beginning about what we were getting, what services we were getting, you mentioned the turf fields.
Yes.
But did I hear correctly that they were not included in this year's budget?
That's
Will they
correct.
be coming up next year?
They were financing the issuance of debt that is funded through the open space tax. It's not come out of the general fund.
Okay. So actually it is on this year's tax
Part of
bill,
that-
but it's through
part
open
of the-
space.
Yes, it's part of the 2 cents that we raised this year.
Okay.
That was based on a referendum in the early 2000s that was overwhelmingly approved by the voters.
Yes.
As you know.
Do you think it might be feasible to have the voters vote on repealing that? Save a few pennies somewhere? We do have open space. Do we need any more? Just a thought. Just, I'm trying to save pennies where I can. I've come before you and asked about having a liaison with the school board. Now, the school board went up a little bit more than our municipal tax went up. But our school rating is in the toilet. And that is one of the reasons why we can't sell our houses. People don't want to buy where the rating is not good. So meanwhile, we can't sell our house, and the value goes down, but the assessment stays up. Do you think maybe you could consider talking with the school board, seeing why they had to increase so much, and maybe you could get a liaison. Also, maybe Assemblywoman Mosquera, maybe she could go to the state and see if she could get some of the state mandates taken away so that it would give us some relief.
There is a proposal that the governor put out there to reduce aid for each student in the state of New Jersey, to make it a flat $6,500
Yes.
for each student. To educate a student K through 8 in Gloucester Township, if you're in middle school, it's $12,666. If you're in elementary school, K through 5, it's $12,790. If you have special education, and that goes into $16,000, $24,000, $40,000. So the $6,500, if that proposal goes through, $6,500, the local school district is getting half of what they're bringing in now for particular students. So they have their own elected school board. They're elected by the folks, by the residents of Gloucester Township, the school board. You've asked for a liaison in the past, and quite frankly, I don't think they, I don't know, I speak only on my behalf, that I don't know if they would encourage that. They are an elected body. They have their their board meetings on the 2nd and 3rd Mondays of the month. Their budget is also online as well.
Well, maybe everybody here can go to those meetings as well. Thank you.
Sorry, there you are, sir. Sorry. You're after the gentleman.
My name is Bill Coyle, and I live in Valley Brook. When I first moved here, we retired down here from New York because the taxes were too high where I was. Big mistake. My wife has a lot of family here. That's why we came down. We bought a house in Valley Brook that cost $280,000, and that's what you had it accessible. They did reevaluate and it went down, but we're paying so much more now than when we first moved here 10 years ago, or 11. I went to the township to find out if I'm eligible to have my taxes frozen. I was told that they're 2 years behind on that, and I had to wait to 2017 or 18, and then I would be able to get it for this year. Maybe if you guys would work 5 days a week like everybody else has to, you'd get a catch-up.
Mr. Coyle, that's a state program. That's 2 years behind. It's not run through the municipality.
Don't you have anything to do with it?
We could advocate on your behalf, but that's a state program.
How about the 5 days and working like everybody else has to?
They put in
You did that because the gas was $4 and change a gallon here. It's down to less than $2 a gallon. Maybe if you all worked like we have to, things would change and you wouldn't have that high tax rate.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Victoria Gould. I'm from Country Air in Sicklerville.
And my question, I was actually kind of pleased that you were talking about all these improvements, because my question deals with improvement. I want to know why J.W. Lilly is a disgrace. The parking lot is like a big gigantic pond that's mosquito infested. There's no painted lines for where to park. I have a kindergartner who is about to go into first grade, and in September of last year, we had a bad heat wave, and he actually was vomiting from the heat in the school because there's no air conditioning. And I think that is a disgrace in this day and age, that we're subjecting these little children to that kind of environment. And I've been in New Jersey public school systems implementing programs, and I have never seen a parking lot so disgraceful, not even in Camden City. And I'm very nervous. I've never done this before. I've never spoken before. But I'm very upset because I can't believe, and I went today, I went and photographed five of the elementary schools, and J.W. Lilly is the worst. And I was appalled at that, and I can't even begin to process how I feel about it. I mean, I know I'm outraged that my child and everyone's child that goes to this school is, and even the teachers and the people that work there, that's a disgrace. So I want to know, why does it look that way if our taxes have gone up and you're telling me that there's all these improvements that have been done?
The school taxes that you pay, who makes those improvements, who makes the decision on renovating that parking lot or putting air conditioning, that's through the Gloucester Township Board of Education. We have no say over any type of renovation work.
Come on!
Contrary to some of the comments, I'm not on the Board of Education of Gloucester Township. I do work there. I'm employed by Gloucester Township.
I realize there's a lot of
But I can forward your comments to the superintendent, and if you provide your phone number and you come up here, I'll have it.
Yeah, I will.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ford. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Carolyn Grace. I live 110 Hampshire Road. I live in Brittany Woods. I have not been living there for the past 5 years because of the decline of the neighborhood, and that's why I'm here about development. I was living in Washington Township. I got an apartment because it was much better there. But recently I decided to move back. I have owned that house for 29 years, maybe 30 years. But I would like to know what you're doing about the community of Brittany Woods, because what happened was, before I went on vacation, I noticed I came into the development and I saw signs that said street cleaning in Aston Woods. I seen it in Spring Valley. I drove around. I saw it in all these other very nice clean developments, but what I see for Brittany Woods was no signs posted out there. I called the mayor's office. I asked the mayor, I stopped in, and I got an intern who did return my phone calls and told me that street cleaning would take place in Brittany Woods. I think last Thursday. I want to know if that actually happened, because I was not in the country. But as I noticed when I moved back and renovated my house, which is, I'm still working on it, I keep it clean. I keep my grass cut. I cut the front and back, even though you don't see the back. But I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood. It's been a year now. The police station, the police officers are great. They do come out. I've noticed I'm very observant. And I notice they do come out when there's things going on. I had to install an alarm system in my house, so I noticed that if I had an accidental alarm go off, they're right there. So I appreciate the police department and their quick response. But my concerns are the neighborhood doesn't look like anything ever takes place. Cleaning, trash, everything. Picking up street. I hear you talking. I was listening to everybody because I kind of bumped into the tax thing because I didn't get my tax notice regarding this increase, so I kind of bumped into all of this. But I'm noticing that there's debris, there's trees branches that are never picked up or never cleaned up. I don't understand. There are homeowners there. There are people that pay their taxes there. Why? And there's a lot of renters there. There's a lot of abandoned houses. We're not the highest tax. We're probably the lowest tax bracket in the community. The houses range from probably like $50,000 to $80,000. But still, I'm a taxpayer, and I am back in the Gloucester Township zone and community, and I would like to know if I have to live here and listening to all of this, maybe I should move again, but what are you doing for that community? Because I just thought that was really strange that you had these really pretty nice signs out and all these other developments that are really already clean, but this one little town, small development, there were no signs there. One, did you clean the neighborhood while I was on vacation? Did the street cleaning take place? And who do I get in contact when it comes to talking about those abandoned homes that are there? You talked a little bit about a community project, enhancement project. Who do I contact to find out so I can go around and see all those houses that need to be banded up and the grass that needs to be cut? Because that's a major problem in that community. At night, it's very quiet. So it's not a bad neighborhood in my opinion. It's just dirty. Very dirty, and houses are not power washed, things like that. So there's a lot of renters in that neighborhood, and I'd like to know what I can do or what I can do to help this small development come back. When I moved there in the 80s, it was a great place. I only moved out because of the decline. So changes in my life, changes in my income brought me back, and the things that I do to make it comfortable for myself, I like to expand that, and I need the Gloucester Township support to make that neighborhood look better. And I see that nothing, I've been there since August of 2005, and I don't see any changes. I really don't see anyone out there in the community or how it used to be back in the 80s and the 90s. What are you doing to help Brittany Woods?
Well, I want to thank you for bringing that to our attention. There are some challenges in Brittany Woods, as you mentioned. There's a lot of rentals that are taking place in that particular neighborhood. Unfortunately, some individuals that rent their properties don't maintain it as property owners, such as you. The brush and the branches and the debris, we can contact Public Works. If you can come up here and provide your phone number, we'll have our Public Works supervisor contact you. The street cleaning schedule, I'm not aware of that particular when it takes place throughout our township. But when you contact, when we have Public Works give you a call, they can tell you if they did go in your particular neighborhood. But those are some things that we can do now. But again, a majority of the properties that are located there are rentals.
Mm-hmm. So what about the tenants, the owners of those properties?
That's why I'm asking you, we'll have Public Works give you a call. But we wouldn't power wash someone's private home.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's debris out in the streets, branches or brush that hasn't been picked up, or trash hasn't been picked up, or recyclables, that's something that you could bring to our attention, and we would move swiftly on.
One other thing, I don't understand, there's a lot of communities come around where they have association fees. Why does not Gloucester Township, do association fees for that particular community?
It's a private development there, so there's no HOA there. But there are some communities where there are HOAs and where people don't pay their homeowner association fees, and they'll park on the street because they're in fear of their car being towed.
And I just have...
Those are things that take place in certain communities, but it's a private development that you have there.
Okay. I just want to ask one just silly question.
Yes.
Why did you put signs in those other well-to-do developments, but no one ever put signs in Gloucester Town? I'm just curious. I mean, it just feels like it's left on its own, and that even though there's homeowners there, there is not a lot of input or concern about this small development. That's just my opinion within the last year that I've observed.
Ms. Grace, those signs go out a week prior to that particular area being cleaned. So we can find out a schedule. We'll have a Public Works supervisor contact you about the cleaning schedule. But no, there is an effort to clean all of our communities. Mr. Cardis works closely with our Public Works department, but those signs are put out a week prior to that particular development or street being cleaned.
Do you know if the streets have been cleaned last Thursday?
I don't know. I have to get back to you once.
Okay.
Could you provide your number up
Sure.
to the clerk? Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Sir, I'll come to you after him. Sorry to point.
Hi, my name is Ken Green. I'm from Timber Glen, and we haven't had our streets cleaned either in about 2 years. You want to check into that. It's true.
What was that,
The
sorry?
street cleaner hasn't been down in Timber Glen, Morningstar
Timber
Court,
Glen?
for about 2 years. Saw it about 2 years ago, thought they were broken. But my question, thank you for holding the council meeting tonight. My question is, again, on the tax issue and the 11 cents or 11% increase that the state law says 2% is the max, is the cap, unless there's extenuating circumstances. I just wanted to know, how much snow do you budget to remove every year?
In our budget last year for snow, we had, was it $500,000?
So how many inches of snow is that?
It's probably enough for 3 storms, sizable storms.
Okay, so if I read back here from 2007, we had 2.2 inches of snow. In 2008, we had 1 inch of snow. 2009, we had 4.10 inches of snow. 2010, we had 3.1 inches of snow. 2011, we had 25.2 inches of snow. 2012, we had 2.5 inches of snow. 2013, we had 3.9 inches of snow. 2014, we had 25.9 inches of snow. 2015, we had 4.3 inches of snow. And 2016, we had 22.9 inches of snow. So over the last 10 years, that's an average of 9.5 inches of snow a year, which does not make 3 sizable storms. So in my opinion, there should be money left over from snow removal budget to clean up from storms such as the storms that came through. We've only had 2 named hurricanes come through here. 2011 Hurricane Irene, 2012 we had Hurricane Sandy. Why is there not money left in the budget, such as the snow removal budget, to account for removing trees and high wind damage?
Sometimes we do spend that entire budget. Sometimes we are right at that budget. Sometimes we are under that budget.
Okay, 9.2 inches of snow. You said 3 sizable storms, which I would say sizable storms 2011, 2014, 2016, above 20 inches of snow. Sounds like
Put a
multiple.
budget together, regardless of whether it's snow or anything else that's in the budget. Put it together based on what you anticipate the needs to be.
Where does that money go after the end of the year when?
As you operate your budget, as you get closer to year end.
Please stop the clock.
By state statute, you must make transfers. And so what we do is we transfer from different accounts to cover. You cannot finish a fiscal year with a state budget line item in the red. You have to have money transferred over to cover all the balances. Once all that's done at year end,
You cannot have money left over for a municipal public works.
in a state account.
You can't have a surplus. A surplus in the public works.
You have to transfer it to cover any overages that you have at year end. After that, you run into a reserve period.
So our public works money pays for overages in other
Transfer between
accounts?
You're permitted to transfer between accounts.
Who authorizes that transfer?
Authorized, the council does.
Council at a meeting will say we're going to move the surplus from the snow budget to cover painting the lines in the park.
It could be an overage in any account. It could be an overage in trash disposal.
So because we moved all that money out of the snow budget to cover other budgets, that's why we are now faced with an 11-cent increase?
Once you strike a budget, the operations of that budget continue till year end. You don't take money out and put it someplace else. You don't move it to surplus. You follow the prescribed, approved by the state of New Jersey, what they promulgated. That's what we have to follow. And every municipality follows the same statutes.
So then why can't money come from somewhere else to pay for the 11-cent increase? You want to have it one way, but you can't have it the other way.
It has nothing to do with the operation of an individual budget during the year once it's approved. The 11-cent came about, and you're right, you started off by saying there's a 2% tax levy cap. We did calculate that, and we had money built up in the tax levy cap. And so we actually, even with an 11-cent increase, we're still 174,000 under the cap.
May I ask you a question? That tax levy cap, you said.
Can't hear you.
Thank you.
That
tax levy cap, Tom, that you referenced.
Speak up, we cannot hear you.
Is it on? Can you hear me?
Turn on your mic.
That tax levy cap of 2%,
Yeah.
have we been utilizing that each of the last few years?
No, the last couple of years, it's actually banked cap, and that's what I was talking about. You're permitted, I believe, to bank 3 years cap, is that correct?
Yes, 3 years.
Yeah, so.
So why can't you bank 10 years of snow budget? You can't have it both ways. You're saying, I can bank a surplus, but I can't bank a deficit. Okay, I'm going to go on. Okay, if you, I'm going to read off of here a second. So, in the first gentleman's comments regarding our reassessed values, 2010. Okay, there's a common level range standard. Are you familiar?
These are taxes.
That's the ratio between market value, market sales.
We cannot hear you. You must speak into a microphone. The person right there at that microphone is speaking into a microphone. All the council members must speak into a microphone so that we can all hear.
Sir, hold on. Thank you for your comments, sir. I appreciate it. Chuck?
Finish your question.
Yeah, so to explain the common level range, you must consider what happens after a reevaluation in your town is completed. External factors such as inflation, in this case recession, appreciation, and again in this case depreciation, cause values to increase or decrease at varying rates. Other factors such as physical deterioration may change property values. If assessments are not adjusted annually, a deviation from the 100% of true market value occurs, which it was 100% of true market value in 2010. Let me continue, please. The State Division of Taxation, with local assessors assisting, annually conducts a statewide fiscal year sales survey investigating most property transfers. Sale value is compared to assessed value individually to determine an average level of assessment in a municipality. An average ratio is developed from all bona fide arm's length property sales to represent the assessment level in your community. In any year except the year a reevaluation is implemented, the common level of assessment is the average ratio of the district in which your property is situated and is used by the county tax board to determine the fairness of your assessment. In 1973, the New Jersey legislature adopted the formula known as Chapter 123 to test the fairness of an assessment. Once the tax board determines a property's true market value during an appeal, they are required to compare the true market value to assessed value. If the ratio of assessed value to true value exceeds the average ratio by 15%, the assessment is reduced to the common level. So my question, Mr. Palumbo, is can you please tell me the district's average ratio so that I may know how to file my appeal?
Yes, go ahead, Chuck.
The common level range that you're speaking about is the state ratio. The state monitors every sale that comes through our office. We average at least 70 a week. They look at the assessment times or whatever the market value is, and that's what they come up with the ratio. Now, there are several non-usable factors that those sales are not included in the study, and that's for distress sales, so that are foreclosures, vacant homes, those kinds of things, estate sales. So the state does not consider them market value sales for the ratio. Currently, when we did our revaluation, our assessments came in at about 107%, okay, based on, at the time in 2010, the list of sales that they had and the list of assessments that were created by the revaluation. Currently, we're at 104%. So, which that means that most assessments should be within, 4% of market value. The state allows for plus or minus 15%. So the majority of our sales, state monitored, people can come into our office and look at them. We have a book on the counter which shows the sales of properties throughout the township, and we have a significant number of them. They are, for the most part, running right now between 90 and 108% of market value. And these, again, like I said, are the legitimate market sales, not the distressed sales. The distressed sales we are not allowed to use in our study. That's state regulations. So I hope that's somewhat of an explanation.
I'd appreciate that explanation. I don't believe that we are running at that high of a level based on the first gentleman's comments. And currently, my ratio is somewhere around 89% of the bona fide sales in my development or in my section of Gloucester Township. So, if I'm at 89%, you would recommend that I appeal my assessed value and have it reduced to I guess what is known as the common level range.
You're actually saying that your assessment is at 115%, so to speak, right? It's overvalued.
Yes,
right?
it's
Right, So
overvalued.
you're about 115%. If you have that kind of evidence, what I recommend everybody do, see, I'm permitted once a year to review items in the middle of October through December, which I recommend you bring that information to me. You don't have to pay the fee. You don't have to go through a hearing. You have that information to me, I'm able to at least review all the properties when you give me evidence to review. I can't, state does not allow me to just review one assessment. That's called spot assessing. I'm not allowed to do that. But if you bring me evidence, you bring me information, you show me where you have property deficiencies or you have issues with your value, I'm permitted to review them, get that information, get it to my office. Like I said, everybody's free to look at what we have in our office. The information there is vital. We recommend you use that information. The information that's on those websites, which is Zillow, Trulia, a lot of those sites are not true. They're not appraisers. They are just gathering information, and they just take an average, and that includes, a lot of distressed sales. So those values and those things that are on those sites are not true values. They're just information from somebody to keep them in, and they do a little, division number. So if you have valuation issues, specifically, bring them to my office mid-October through mid-December. We go through them. We will take care of whatever problems or issues that exist.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Sir. Sir, you had your hand up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for letting me have 5 minutes of fame here. I happen to be a Vietnam veteran. I proudly served my country for 4 years.
Thank you for your service. Can I have your name and your address for the record?
I get $250 a year against my taxes.
Sir, can I have your name and address for the record? I'm sorry.
Robert Piagaro, 10 Sumter Court, right around the corner. My question is twofold. We only get once every 2 weeks pickup for our recyclables. Why do we not get, with all the tax money we pay, why do we not get every week? That's number one. Number two, I'm reading this tax bill breakdown, and it says it's based on an assessment of $190,000 per home. Is that correct?
Yes.
The tax number at the very bottom that should be paid is $7,085. Is that correct? For an average of $190,000 for the property value, right? Well, if our property is assessed at $192,000, explain to me why we are paying over $8,000 in taxes. I am not the smartest guy in the world, but you know what? I can read, and $7,085 based off $190, I should not be paying closer to $8,500 a year in taxes. That's absurd.
One explanation may be on the fire district. You were in the Choose Fire District?
I don't-
Hughes Landing Fire District.
Okay.
This is what's indicated as average. So Hughes Landing Fire District, I believe, is our largest, is the highest taxing fire district in our, it's not, Dan? I'm giving you an explanation. So that may be, because what's listed here is an average. If you're in Glendora, if you're in the Blenheim section, you have a smaller tax rate when it comes to your fire protection. But just taking a look at this, if you say you're assessed at $192 and you're at $8,500,
Right.
okay, that's just my particular guess. We can take a look at it if you like, or through our
Well,
tax assessor.
I mean, we're all here because we would like our taxes to be reduced. I mean, like I said, I gave 4 years of my life to this country so everybody up there could have a free life. Okay? And that's important to me because, live free. I'm not living free. And second of all, we're going to be getting a 23 or 27 cent raise in our gas prices. How much more are you going to squeeze out of the dollar that we have to work so hard to get? That's just not right.
It's not. I don't control the gas tax, sir. I'm sorry.
You're missing the point.
I know, I'm not missing the point.
You know what? Johnny's got his hand in my pocket over here, and Joey's got his hand in my pocket over there. We want a little bit of relief. That's all we're asking.
With your question with the MUA, that is the schedule of recycling. That is set by the Municipal Utilities Authority, the Gloucester Township MUA. And Tom, that has been bi-weekly since its inception. Are you accumulating more recycling than you need to? Or more than they
Sometimes.
More than they can accommodate?
Sometimes it's overflowing, but we're just asking these questions because based on the amount of money that we're paying, what are we really getting for all of the money we spent?
And
Right.
that's why I tried to highlight at the beginning of our meeting.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But we also have a lamppost out in front of my house that we've had to go through different people to try and get the trees cut away from so the lamp can work. And who's giving us the runaround? Well, we don't cover that. We don't cover that. Who covers it? The street lamps on Sumter Court. All you got to do is ride by and it's right there. It's blocked by the trees. So, thank you very much.
Robert, can you come up here and give your phone number, and then we can possibly contact PSE&G about that light post? Ma'am.
Okay, so I told my husband that I wasn't going to speak tonight, and I made him leave because I was like, I'm going to say something.
Okay. Can I have your name and your address?
My name is Jessica Marchese. I live at 36 Roberts Drive. I'm 28 years old. I think I'm the youngest speaker. Don't take offense to that, but I think that's why I needed to say something. I'm 28 years old, and I've lived in Gloucester Township since I was 2 years old. So I am a product of Gloucester Township. I'm a teacher. My husband is a police officer. In fact, I was in Glen Landing when Mr. Schmidt was a teacher. How you doing, Mr. Schmidt? So I guess the reason why I'm up here is because I have a daughter. You probably heard her in the back. And I have one on the way.
I'll get with my wife.
We bought a house in Broadmoor in 2013. We have already had to refinance it because of the taxes going up. And I don't know how long I can stay here. This is my pregnancy hormones, I'm sorry.
Take your time.
I am a product of Gloucester Township. I love Gloucester Township. I met my husband at Gloucester Township Day. And I want to stay here. I live behind Choose Elementary School. That was my elementary school. Every morning I wake up, I want to take my daughter across that park. It is falling apart. It is at least 30 years old because my sister played on that park. And I know you said you have to talk to the Board of Ed, so I would like you to forward my information to them so that that can be taken care of because there are weeds in that park that have spikes and those spurs all through them. And I see kids playing on that playground at Latchkey. During recess, it's pathetic that those kids are playing on that playground. And I played on that playground. It's falling apart. It's not safe. If our taxes are going towards the school, then you guys need to be in communication. I'm a school teacher, okay? You need to be in communication with them and have them look at those parks, look at those conditions that these kids are playing in. I'm not putting my kid on that park. So this morning, my husband and I, we were talking, we said, you know what? We love Gloucester Township, but how can we stay here? We're not going to be able to refinance again because these taxes, we're not going to be able to afford our mortgage. I talked to my parents. They live off on Bethany Lane. I said, we're going to have to move in with you. All because we wanted to stay in Gloucester Township. I texted my mom this morning, I said, Mom, if we buy a house in Georgia, are you coming? Because I don't want to leave my family. But I'm about to head south. I don't want to leave my foundation that my whole, morale came from Gloucester Township, and now I have to leave. All of my friends are buying houses in Timber Birch, in Broadmoor, right down the street from my mom, so we can stay here and we can raise our kids here. We can't stay here. Our jobs are not giving us pay raises. I have gotten a $200 raise since I've been teaching, and I've been teaching for 5 years. $200. And I'm working more hours so that I can get more stipends. But if my pay is not increasing, the taxes are going up, the property value is going down, I am forced to do something, especially when I'm raising children. My question to you, as a 28-year-old, how can you help me not be like them? Sorry, but I don't want to drown my family. And I'm so happy that you're positive about the parks and the turf and everything. I'm happy about that because, oh yeah, I can see my daughter running around on those fields. That's great. But I don't think you're positive about where our tax value is going. Show me, if I was your daughter, what would you tell me to do?
I've explained to you that two out of the last 7 years we've had increases. And those increases were attributed to storms that we had here.
Okay, so do you foresee this getting better or getting worse? And in how long? Do you think in the next 5 years this is going to continue to be the same way?
Unfortunately, there are going to be costs that are going to go up each year. Whether it's our health benefits for our employees, our pensions, there's contracts that we have, there are services. I'm trying to respond, please. There are mandates that we have as a township have to adhere to. Of course, we're always looking for new revenue in the township. I highlighted the outlets that we had, the premium outlets. That was something that served as an economic boom to our township and will continue to provide revenue, much needed revenue. There are the Nike base, the parcel of land that we're trying to sell to bring additional revenue to alleviate some of the burden on our residential taxpayers.
So it's just going to keep going up? Okay. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Frank Albano, Glendora. Last year, I did appeal my assessment, okay? To my surprise, it was dropped. Not as good as I'd like, but it was dropped some. That lasted 3 quarters. That was it. Got the bill, got banged. I'm back up over what I did originally. I worked 2 jobs, 37 years. I'm still working. I'm looking towards retirement. And you get hit with an $800 a year charge to paying your taxes, it's not going to happen. I don't want to move to Delaware. I don't want to move to Pennsylvania. I lived there, South Philly, born and raised. I don't want to hear about $800. You pick a number. I talked to about 10 different people. They come up with an $800 number every time. I got hit with $800. It seems like that's a number that was picked out of a hat, and that's what we put on the bill. But who, you know what I'm saying? These people, we heard about the people who can't live in the houses. They can't pay their taxes. They're trying to go on Social Security. That's not going up. I haven't had a raise in work since 7 years. I don't know about you guys. Honestly, I don't know if you got a raise in 6, 7 years. I know I didn't. So it's hard to pay $800 a year. What I would like to say is, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take this under appeal, we're going to look at it again, and maybe we'll come back with a better rate. How's that? That's what I would like to say, all right? That's what I would like to say. But $800 is ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. This will be after him. In the red, you'll be after the gentleman here.
Good evening, Council. Ray Caldor, Ariel. For those that don't know me, I'm one of the 5 people that usually come to this council meeting. While all this was going on, we've had many a conversation. I'm glad I got this opportunity to speak with a few people in the room. When you were stating some of the facts, I noticed some items that were missing. In 2010, do you remember what the increase in the tax was in 2010? I'll wait for your answer.
You're talking about the 23 or
23.5 cent increase back in 2010. I don't remember you saying that to these people.
It's on that sheet I handed out.
Okay.
I'm not hiding anything.
Secondly, the Premium Outlet Mall, that piece of farmland that sold for quite a bit of money. If I'm not mistaken, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it sold for about $14 million to Simon Group, is that correct?
13 million.
13 million. What was it immediately reassessed at for tax purposes? What was the assessment? I just heard 9.9.
No. I have it right in front of me.
11.5 for the 3 parcels.
11.5?
The 3 parcels.
11.5 million.
What did I just hear 9.9 referred to with the Premium Outlet Mall?
That's the one.
On what they're paying on the property. I get that. But I heard 9.9. I had to jump up.
All right, may I finish?
Please
Chuck,
do.
I have printouts that I printed up today. So on block 13111, lot 1, that is assessed, the land, at $9.6 million. They pay in taxes $365,977.62.
On what value again?
There's several lots here. This lot is lot 1, and that's assessed at $9,661 and $9.6 million. The next parcel of land that they have, which is, and that's on 54 acres. On the next parcel of land, which is lot 13, block 13101, lot 1. Stop the clock. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
That acreage is 6 acres. On 6 acres, it's assessed at $809,000. They pay $30,644. On the next lot, block 13106, lot 1, that is assessed at $642,000. Is 4.42 acres. They pay $24,318 on that parcel. And the last lot, the block 13111, lot 1, that is the 54 acres. Now, they're paying on the land. They're paying their taxes on the land. The total assessment, according to what I pulled offline here, is an assessment of $58,120,000.
We
That's
talked
the total
about
assessment.
this during the opening of the Premium Outlet Mall and the abatement that you were warning. It's not like we've got the dollar store. These are high value, high dollar retail stores. And what an idea that might not have been to the good for the benefit of the taxpayers. But the fact that that property sold for so much, was assessed at a lower value, and for several years they're not going to be paying all that much comparatively for that. Also, I'll move to the next point. You mentioned that we moved to a calendar year back in 2010, we transitioned. I also did not notice that you mentioned when we went from a fiscal year of a 6-month budget, the state gave us an additional $5 million and then another $5 million to move to the calendar year. Within that 18-month period, this township had $10 million from the state. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Also, I noticed that when you were mentioning all the extraordinary things that would allow you to go above the cap, I don't remember hearing, it doesn't mean you didn't say it, but I didn't hear you say debt service. I didn't hear you say debt and borrowing, unless it just got slipped in under the radar. Did you say that, and I not hear that?
He listed the items.
I listed it. That is also part of what's outside the cap. That allows you to go over 2%.
Would you say that a good portion of what took us so far over the cap has to do with the amount of debt and the debt service that this township has right now?
No, I don't believe so, no.
You don't? Eventually, when will that catch up? Because if the debt service is always going to be there, we can expect...
Our debt service amount is relatively low compared to other municipalities in Camden County and also in South Jersey. You're permitted to have debt up to 3.5% of the average of the three most recent assessed values for the town.
And how many times have we refied those debts in the last 5 years? I remember you saying you got a better rate, we're going to reassess.
I don't recall, but there was occasionally.
At least a couple of times.
Yeah.
All right. I
Also,
also
prudent to do so.
remember you telling the folks, the good folks here, that you had a zero increase this year. A lot of people have been speaking, and they know what banking is as far as the debt and as far as the zero increase. When you don't use the 2%, you bank it. At the end of that 4 years or after, when it is convenient, you bank those numbers, and then you hit us, as was the case 2 years ago, 8%.
We filed the state
Banking, retroactive, it's all the same.
7.4, Ray.
Cents?
7.4, yes.
Cents.
Yes.
Once again, you guys keep doing this cents thing, and people hear percent, which is usually over the cents, because it's a little confusing when you say cents. One other thing that was not mentioned here, the list went out of all the shrinking towns in New Jersey, and we have the distinguished honor of being number 4. People are running out of this township, and these people are telling you exactly why. And last but not least,
respond to that?
please do.
Can I respond to that? I work for the school district, and I oversee registration for our school district. Last year, we registered over 600 new students into our school district. This year, we anticipate registering over 600 new students into our school district. There's someone coming to our town, Ray.
Are they paying taxes?
Okay, I want to address, so what is wrong with renters? But where they rent, they pay taxes. Millbridge, as I stated earlier, Ray, I'm going to give you time. Millbridge is the second highest rate payer in Gloucester Township. They pay taxes on behalf of their tenants. Ray?
You so conveniently stated, if you have a family move into an apartment and the owner of the property is paying taxes, and they have 4 or 5 children, how much did you say it costs to send one student to school here? How's that work out? That's pretty tough. Somebody's got to make that up. We all want, listen, it's not about renters. It's not how people feel about renters.
We don't
It's
want
about what
to
it costs.
renters against homeowners here.
No, that's not the point.
One time we were renters, okay? So
The last item, so I can get somebody else the opportunity to speak. And I will wait for the answer on this one. How many years have I been asking this council to televise these meetings?
years.
9.
9. Okay. We live stream our meetings.
Yeah, that's real funny. That has its issues. It goes out, audio, video. Several years ago, you guys entered into agreement with Comcast that has Comcast, and no matter what you say, exclusive, not exclusive, Comcast is the only cable company in this town for 15 years, plus 5 should we decide to opt. But a guaranteed 15 with 5 and 5. Comcast gave this township a boatload of money as a grant, and I don't forget, $165,000. Back then, I asked you to televise the meetings because the people that don't join the 5 of us here every other week, it would be a lot simpler for them to see what goes on, to see what's coming, and then they wouldn't need to show up after the fact, because what they don't know and what you haven't told them, in essence, you told them that it passed back in April. They just found out when they got their tax bill. Now, are you going to be able to do anything to reverse what they just received in the mail? Because it passed in April, and basically what you said to these people, you're late. Where were you when we did this? Put the meetings on television like I've been asking. Mr. Hutchinson has been absolutely against this from day one, for whatever reason, not to put, at least people would have an opportunity. the live stream does not work for seniors that are not computer savvy. It doesn't work when you don't have the time. Channel 19 is available. There's many ways to put these meetings on television to give people, I know this is an old song I've been singing for a long, long time, but these people would have had a heads up. They would have known what was going on, and they would have known why. And they wouldn't be so furious. They'd have been here while you were talking about the tax increase and what you did with the money and how many storms we paid for. It's something I think you should revisit again, and not just because it's a full room of people. It's time that they get to know things that go on here.
Thank you very much. Sir, there's a lady behind you. She's first and you're second, okay?
Good evening. My name is Eileen Jasinski. I live in Millbridge. I've been in Gloucester Township approximately 27 years.
Can I have your last name again?
Duzinski.
Duzinski, okay.
And a lot of people covered a lot of interesting facts and figures. All I know is, and the last gentleman probably nailed it, that you're up there, you're sitting there, you're listening to us, but it's a done deal. You don't seem to be interested in trying to help us save our community. My sons both live in this community. They're young, they're trying to raise families, they want to have more children. I feel for the 28-year-old girl that was up here. Who's going to want to come here? And I'm curious about this $12,000 for a child, okay? I think there's a lot of children that go to our schools that don't pay taxes, and their parents don't pay the taxes. I don't know how that could be policed. I think it should be policed. And I don't know about Section 8 people. There's an awful lot of them coming into this town. And what is the deal with that? Do we get any kind of money, towards our school from them? Or is that,
The property owner, whoever the property owner is, pays taxes to the municipality and also to the school district and the county and the other entities that are involved. So if an individual, if you had a property, Mr. Zinsky, and you decided that you wanted to rent out your property and make it Section 8, that is a federal program that you have the right to do. But as the property owner, you would be paying taxes like any other property owner.
So if I have 12 kids living in that house, I'm still only paying the small amount of property tax, comparable to what it's...
Paying property taxes based on the assessment of that property.
Okay. Well, anyway, I really feel that, like I say, you're all up there, and I think you're very smug also. And you're not really interested in anything that we're saying. But I'll tell you this right now. You're turning this town into a ghetto. More empty houses. Do all of you live in this township, and
Yes,
you're all happy with
You're all
happy with the tax? Do you get any kind of tax break being on the council at all?
I get no tax rate.
I'm just curious.
I get no tax. I get no tax rate. No tax.
Why would you want this job? And why don't you seem to want to help us? Why can't we go back to the drawing board and come up with a better
I'd like to
plan?
answer your question. May I?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes, we all live in town. Yes, we pay taxes. There is no break that we receive. And we have to pay the same amount of taxes that you pay.
Okay.
I have my tax bill here. I bought in Valley Brook 10 years ago, 2006. My plan was 5 years and I was going to be out. I got divorced. Everyone who gets divorced moves to Valley Brook. So I moved to Valley Brook and said 5 years and I'll be out of there. And then the housing market crashed. I bought my place. I have a 2-bedroom condo. It's 1,100 square feet. And I paid $180,000 for it. What will I get for it now? $145 if I'm lucky. But that is, but I choose to reside in this community. I choose to stay here. My son goes to the school district, and contrary to the comments that were made earlier by a resident, our schools are not in the toilet. Yes, they
are. They are.
Mr. Zinsky, do you have any other questions for me?
No, I guess I do. I just guess I would have liked to heard someone up there say, yes, it is outrageous, $800 jump in your tax a year. It's crazy.
We take no pleasure, Mr. Zinsky, in raising taxes. We've stabilized them 2 out of the last 7 years they've been raised.
But you also, everything that's brought up, you seem to pass the buck
Not passing the buck.
You know, and everything's about the storm. And another thing about that storm. My neighbor called, the township came out, there were 9 guys standing around, 1 guy cutting down the tree, okay? I called for mine that came down, they said, oh, well, we don't do that, you have to get a private whoever to come out and cut down, clean up the tree and take it away. So I had to pay for mine. My neighbor did it. You know, I just don't get it. Too many people call about their trees, so they said, oh, we'll put an end to that.
Was that on your own lot?
Yeah, right on front of my house.
Okay.
The point is, you just seem to pass the buck a lot and blame a lot of this stuff on a storm, you know, a couple of storms. I mean, we've had storms here for years. And every other town has them too. They don't seem to have to raise taxes $800 because of storms. But thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Grant Schul. I live in Glen Oaks. I've lived in Glen Oaks for 45 years. And in those 45 years, I have seen this township go down and down and down. Housing values down, taxes up. Schools down, taxes up. Is there something wrong with that ratio? I think there is. And I think you guys are responsible for it. Let's tighten the belts, guys. You want to have some say over what the schools do and how to improve the ratings? Stop sending them the money and see how quick you get some leverage.
That's right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sir, we're obligated by state law to provide that tax money to the school district.
I didn't say not to give it to them ever. I said withhold it until they do something to improve the schools. Maybe that's what we ought to do. Maybe we should take the $800 that you guys added to our tax bill and open an escrow account at TD Bank and put the money in there and pay you the taxes we paid you last year. And then see if you were willing to do anything to help us out. I'll be 75 years old in a few days, as everybody can probably tell. All this white hair is not from being married. Most of it is, but not all of it. I'm looking forward to retire. My wife is also going to retire. The way she's complaining about the taxes we have, I don't want to be home. I have never in my entire life used the public school system in Gloucester Township. You know why? Because I wouldn't send my worst enemy's child to those schools. My kids went to private school. My grandkids are going to private school. But I paid the taxes. All the way through, I'm still paying them. What I need now is, since I reached this grand and glorious age in the golden years, not only do my kids have their hand in my pocket, so do you. I think once you hit the grand ripe old age of 65, school taxes should drop off your tax bill. And I don't mean to insult any of the younger people here. I'm really not trying to insult the younger people here. But I think it's time something got done. People want and need a tax break. I work for a company that's funded through the state of New Jersey. I started working here in 2004. In 2005, got the last raise I got. Yeah, I'm still there. Why? Because there aren't any other jobs. You gotta have a paycheck. I don't want to die at my desk, but the way you guys are taxing us, it sure as hell looks like it. I'm going to provide Gardner with the address of my company so they know where to come pick up the body.
We have to adhere to the time limit.
because
Out
I
of
raised my
out of courtesy to our other residents.
So, in my home,
May I have
we
your name,
got
please, and your address?
Donna Fortune. I live in Country Air Development in Ariel.
Good evening.
Good evening. We got our new tax bill, and our taxes went up $1,100. And 2 weeks, I had to come up with $2,100 for that difference in 2 weeks. My husband's retired, and the last 5 years that he worked, he didn't get a raise. But yet, we keep raising taxes here. Chuck, in regards to what you were saying, you told us not to look at Zillow and not to look at Realtor.com. However, when houses go on sale, that's what it's based on. That's what people look at. And when you look at what my house is assessed at, it's nowhere near it's listed on Realtor.com or Zillow. I have 3 houses in our development that are empty. One has been empty for 8 years. 8 years. Who's paying the taxes on that? Anyone? Nobody. So we are. You have to do something about, like, go after the banks, go after the people who own it, go after somebody, because we can't keep paying for the taxes that other people aren't paying. And you said that the money's going for potholes and paving. I can tell you that my development was built in 1977. We are having our streets paved for the first time this year. For the first time ever. They were never paved. So they're working on them now, and we had to go to the mayor's office. So don't tell me that somebody in the township is walking around looking at potholes and watching everything that needs to be done, because it's not being done. Also, I heard a woman say that our houses are being assessed at whatever. You try to get a home equity loan, they don't base it on that amount. They say, no, we're going to base it on Zillow. We're going to base it on. So you can't even get a home equity loan, the value of your house, because the tax, what you're basing it on, is unrealistic. It's just unrealistic. And you're going to keep having people move out. We're going to move to states where, for a house valued at $212,000, does not pay $8,500 in taxes. If it was Pennsylvania, if it was North Carolina, if it was South Carolina, if it was Florida, you would not be paying $8,500 a year in taxes. That's just ridiculous. It's just crazy. And we talked about the Gloucester Premium Outlets. I work there. And the sales are awful. The people are not coming in. It's not even full. It's a year old. And we already have companies moving out. And in the Cross Keys, those stores there, if you look in the back, there's at least 5 empty ones. You know why? Because you gave them tax abatements. And they didn't have to stay for 10 years or 5 years or whatever. They weren't getting the business, and they just moved out, just like everybody else in Gloucester Township.
Miss, before you leave, that abatement would be for the developer, not for the individual stores. And that abatement has come to fruition for the shops across Keys, correct? Yes. They fulfill, that's the developer who pays for the taxes, not individual stores. On your point about that there is 4 or 5 homes in your development, one of the things that council did is we entered into an agreement with Gloucester County. It's called a mortgage identification program. So some of these homes that we're unable to locate the homeowner or locate the bank, so we can possibly have them put a lien on them or fix that particular property. We've entered into an agreement so they can identify them and reach out to them so we can alleviate some of that problem. But if you have those 4 homes and you want to provide those addresses to us, that's something that we could forward to the mortgage identification.
One of them is directly across the street from my house. And when I called, and I can tell you that my son was interested in purchasing that home. He called Gloucester Township. He called Camden County. He called the law firm who's representing it. He hasn't gotten a call back. I don't want there to be an empty house across the street from me.
Can you tell me what street they're on, Ms.
Dunlin Way. Dunlin. D-U-N-L-I-N.
See if you wrote it down.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Dan has a question. Sorry.
Donna, you made a point. Am I speaking loud enough, sir?
No.
I'm trying, okay. You made a point about the taxes and these vacant properties, and are you subsidizing those taxes? And the answer is no, you're not. The mortgage companies most oftentimes are paying those taxes while they're trying to foreclose on the homeowner who left the property.
How do you explain that for a house that's been empty for 8 years?
You know, it's crazy, but that's what the mortgage companies are doing. They're paying those taxes, because if they don't, then a tax sale certificate will be sold, and the purchaser of the tax sale certificate will pay those taxes for 2 years and then conduct an interim tax foreclosure and knock the mortgage out completely. So the mortgage company must pay those taxes, or their collateral will be sold and foreclosed upon.
But how do you sell a home in Gloucester Township that is assessed at one price, listed on Zillow and Realtor.com at another price, and you have 3 empty homes in your development? How do you sell your home? Who wants to move here? My kids went through the Gloucester Township School District, and at the time that they were there, it was a very good school district. I can't speak now. My kids are grown, and they have since moved out of the area. But to pay this much money for services that we're not getting, and you talked about snow removal, I can tell you, because we live at the very end of Gloucester Township, we get the snow plows in usually 3 days after the storm, and they come in between 11 p.m. and midnight, and you can ask other people that live in my development. That's when we get them, because we're on the other side of the township. We're almost in Sicklerville, and they sometimes forget that we're there. So.
Thank you for your comments. On the snow removal, there's a coordinated effort that goes through our Public Works Department, where there's specific areas that we have contractors, but we also have Gloucester Township Public Works employees that plow those particular areas. This is Dunland Way, correct? Did you say Country Air? Country Air. I'll forward that to Public Works to make them aware of that. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Albinson. I live in Broadmoor, and I'm fairly new to this budget. I kind of got woken up when I received my bill, and like a lot of us probably did. I appreciated when you started the meeting and went through a list of the services that we receive in Gloucester Township, and I appreciate all those services. I think we all probably do. I enjoyed those services last year in 2015, and now we roll forward just 1 year to 2016, and as I understand, I'm going to enjoy those same services, but if I understand this paper right, and I may not, it looks like they're going to cost us $5 million more this year than they did a year ago in the assessments, and that seems like an awfully large step change. $5 million, 11 cents, however you want to look at it. It looks like a huge step change from 1 year to the next. Can anybody help me understand, how that comes about? How does it go from, one situation in 2015? Everything seems to be working fine. Same services, same town, same everything. Just 1 year later, and you have a change of that magnitude. Can you help with that?
VA answer that. Tom?
As I indicated earlier, there was an increase in appropriation of $1,243,000. There was an increase in appropriations overall in the budget of $1,243,000.
Appropriations for what?
For everything, for police, for trash, for gas, for everything.
And you're doing a great job. Let's have an award ceremony for all.
Can we please refrain from comments? Please let him speak. Mr. Hill, can you please refrain from your comments?
No, I can't actually.
Would you like to leave, sir?
Would you like to make me?
Have some respect, sir.
Respect for you? I have respect for these people. None of you.
Sir, can you continue with your comments? I'm sorry for the disruption.
So on the revenue side, we had a fall off of $3,294,000. Surplus was down severely. There were a couple items in the revenue that were not repeating items. So the combination of the $3,294,000 and the $1,243,000 equates to the 11 cents. That would be $4,538,000.
So there was an forgive me if I don't understand, I'll take my 2 minutes. So there was a reduction in the surplus of 3 million
Yeah, basically,
plus.
basically, that's what I'm saying.
Why do you have to have that surplus? Why do you need to tax us to rebuild that surplus? Is that required for safety, for?
Right, because it was described earlier, it was described accurately. You put a budget together, you put in your revenues, you put in your appropriations. The balancing item at the end of the process is the amount to be raised by taxation.
Is that what that surplus is? Why do you have that surplus in there? Why?
Ideally, you want a lot of surplus.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I'd love to have $5-6 million of surplus. That's just not the case right now.
Right.
That's what caused this spike in the tax rate.
Yeah, but you don't have to have surplus, do you? Is it a case that you're just choosing to tax the township because you want to have a $3 million surplus available?
We certainly could cut services.
So, but that, how does that jive? I thought a surplus was something that was above and beyond the cost of the services.
No,
It's not?
It's just how you categorize it from the state perspective when you do the budget. It's called surplus. Really what it is money that you have left over that you can utilize and insert into your budget. The very first line item, if you look at the state budget document online, the very first page, which is page 4, where the budget starts, there's an anticipated revenue line item for surplus. That's down, and that's ideally you want that as high as you can have.
So that surplus is money that you're using to cover unexpected storms or this or that or something else. You call it surplus, but it's money you actually will have to spend.
It's offsetting the appropriations, and it's offsetting the amount to be raised by taxation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There's a gentleman in the back that had his hand up. Miss, you'll be right after the gentleman.
Hi, my name is Vince Keller, 417 Hampton Lane. I'll be brief. I purchased this house 8 months ago with my fiance, wanting to start a life together. And as with Jess, as I went to school with these people, I've seen the school districts. They're shambles. You guys can sit there and say that we have great school districts. And I work customer service, and I look across your faces. And for some of you, I sob stories. I deal with them every day. For 150 people a day. Most of you don't show signs of caring at all for these people in this room. You look at your faces. You have people just sitting there staring blankly at us when we're discussing our lives here. That's all I want to say. I sit there and I feel for people because people's call. What I do, people have to get to work every day. I take care of people generally. You guys don't care about us. I don't care if you guys sit there and say you care about us. Look at your faces. Not a single one of you show any care except for you and me. One more of you out there. I feel terrible for these people. I'm killing myself. Work 90 hours a week, and you people are sitting there staring at me like we're assholes. I'm sorry. It is what it is, sir. And you can say what you want to, and you can say you guys care, but you obviously don't, based on your facial expressions.
Vance, we're trying to provide an explanation for you. We're leveling with you. I'm telling you, I'm being straight. I'm being straight with you. It doesn't feel good. The explanation may be not what you want, but we have to provide services for our residents.
Which I completely understand, but the fact
And
that
we
that
try to
half the
explain
people care
this to
is what bothers me the most. You can tell when somebody cares because you can see it in my face. Half of you haven't expressed that at all. How? This is your community. That's all I want to know. How can you not care?
Vince, we all care.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Vince,
Thank you, sir.
thank you very much. Sir, you'll be right after her, okay? Just come on up and sit down in the front seat, sir.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Burley. I used to be a newspaper reporter for this township, and they did a bang-up job years ago, but the taxes are just it's too much of a burden for the people here. We need you guys to give it all you got to try and find some way to start reducing these. We can't afford it. I'm a senior now, I'm retired. I sell my belongings on eBay to pay my taxes. I found out about this tax meeting through nextdoor.com. It's a community thing where you can contact all your neighbors and you can find out what's going on. That's how I found out about this tax meeting. What we need you guys to do is you're our voice. We need you to try and fight for us. We need you to start fighting this school system. We have too many districts, too many school districts. We need forced regionalization. We need somebody here to go to bat for us against the school board. We wouldn't pay this much for each student if we didn't have so much of an overhead. The administrative costs are out of this world. Too many superintendents, too many vice superintendents. We need to cut this down. Christine Whitman, she came up with an idea. We'll do volunteer regionalization. Would you, just give up your job as a superintendent? Would you volunteer to give up your job? That was stupid. Christie promised me at a meeting before he was made governor that he'd work on this to get regionalization enacted, to get these superintendents down to a reasonable number. If we didn't have so dang many school districts, we wouldn't have so much money going out to these high-paid guys, while our kids suffer with these schools that do need improvements. You know, they don't need what's that thing that your daughter has now? A Chromebook. What does she need a Chromebook? I know they want to keep updated and everything else, but fix the schools first. Do the repairs, get rid of the mold in Mullen, fix up Lily's parking lot, whatever. Do the things that need to be done. And senior citizens don't need a senior center. They need a break on their taxes. Get rid of the senior center and give them that break on their taxes. Every little bit helps. Stop with some of these services that we don't need, these frivolities. We need to live here. We don't need frivolities. We're too busy working anyway. We can't enjoy them. Everybody's got to work. I'm 69, and I have to repair antique hats constantly to sell on eBay to pay my taxes because my Social Security won't cover it. Definitely won't cover it. I pay out as much as I take in. So I have to sell my own belongings or things that I repair so that I can pay you guys. You know, it's just too much for us. And my daughter and her kids are living with me, so I have to help support them too. We can't afford it. We need you guys to go to bat for us. We're begging you, please help us. Help us keep this community. This town is going home. Please help us. We're begging you, literally. Give us a break. And I need to get your name because I would like to come over about my house, if you don't mind. Thank you.
Ms. Bailey, thank you for your comments.
Oh, you're quite welcome, and thank
Sir,
you.
the one who's...
Thank you, sir.
There he is.
Hi, my name is Martin Zepp. I live on 44 Glen Burnie Drive in Wyoke. Evening. I've never done this before. You know, I'm doing this out of frustration, I guess. And I think it's a perception of what the township is doing. You know, I thought we were doing great when I heard that the mayor bought $2.1 million in AstroTurf. You know, and wow, $2.1 million for a dog to crap on. I mean, come on, that's crazy. I mean, I begged my wife for $40 every other month we do Scott's. Whoa, I'm living. You know, my taxes are not like over $9,000 a year. My car insurance, because I got 2 teenagers that had never had an accident or anything, is over $6,000 a year. That's somebody's salary, $17,000 a year between just taxes and car insurance. Whoa. You know, people at Walmart are not even making that, and we're not making that kind of money. Okay? So I got a question for you. I heard, tell me if this is true or not, that because you guys work 4 days a week, and you know, it was a good thing at first, okay, that anything beyond that, like when we have a snowstorm, is overtime? Is that true?
There's a 4-day work week. There are some people, particularly, for instance, in public works, that you may see them on the weekends that are working. They're part of our litter patrol. That's part of their 4-day work week.
Okay.
Tom, as far
I
as...
mean, it's conceivable if you have a storm and the storm hits on a Friday, yes, you would have overtime.
But it's based on well, is it 40 hours in 4 days?
Yeah, it has to put 40 hours in first, and then I think it's after 42 hours that the time and a half kicks in. I'm not positive on that, no, Jack.
So my question is, I heard about Lily's school and this nice lady hurting for her, income. Again, this is the frustration of us. The mayor spent $295,000 on a giant fan. Okay, did you know that? $295,000. Tell me if I'm wrong, on a giant fan that blows out smoke so the firemen could go in. That's great, but where is it? In somebody's attic? Okay, he spent.
Sir, that is a fire. I don't know if the fire district purchased that, but we don't have a fan that blows out smoke.
It blows smoke in, so I'm wrong about that. I read that wrong? All right, I apologize. That's what I read. They have a giant fan that the mayor bought that blows smoke out so the firemen can enter the house easier.
Now, if that purchase was made, that would be purchased through one of the fire districts,
Okay.
not the municipality.
So he spent how much on an armored car? 400,000? 380, so 400,000, okay? So add the 2.1 million that he spent for the grass and the 400,000, and there's our school problem. You pour it in the school. You save some aside to fight our taxes. It shows the township that we're trying to do something to alleviate the taxes, and like they're begging here, is to show that you're on our side. It's like them against you, and it doesn't feel good for you or for us. Okay, and it's an effort on your part to say, hey, listen, we listened to you. We're going to go to Trenton. You guys go to Trenton and say, listen, we got too much of a tax increase here. What can we do? Because Rich was saying, about the $60 million to Camden. So go to work for us, or make us feel like you're going to work for us, because I don't think these people perceive it. Okay. And I wasn't one of the 5 people that were here for the meeting, so I'm ignorant to it as well. And also, too, now, one of the things I wanted to do to reduce the first thing, okay, what are we going to reduce? Okay, let's change our TV program. Okay, I want Verizon. Oh, wait, I can't get Verizon. Why can't I get Verizon? Oh, no, because they wouldn't let us dig in your neighborhood. Oh, really? And then I come to find out tonight that you guys made a deal that you can't have a competition, so I have to get either a DirecTV and keep Comcast for my cable or for my internet. It's crazy.
Martin, can I address the
Yeah.
Comcast? Comcast does have an agreement, but it's not a non-exclusive agreement. Verizon has every opportunity to come into our township. They choose not to. You would have to ask Verizon. But there is no. We can provide a copy of that agreement if you like, but there's no non-exclusivity on that agreement.
Okay. Thanks for your explanation.
But thank you for bringing that up, because that's been brought up over and over again. I like that. Thank you for the opportunity to address
Well,
it.
it's a perception. Again, it's a perception that you guys maybe, have a meeting, say, listen, this is the ideas we came up with to fight our taxes. This is how we're going to try to help you. That's what they're looking to hear. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I forgot a question.
Sir,
If the mayor spent $2.1 million on phony grass, and you guys are saying that's not an issue in the budget, it means we're already looking at a $2.1 million increase next year, correct?
No.
Is that right?
No, that's not correct. You're not looking at
What are you going to put in the budget?
You're not looking at a 2.1 increase. That money is coming out of open space money that goes towards our debt service. Tom? Tom? Is that correct? Yes, it is.
What a way to switch! What a way to switch everything around. Council, good evening. I've listened to.
Sir, can I have your name, sir?
My name is Kent Hale, H-E-H-L, out of Blackwood Estates. I've listened to the young lady, 28 years old, the veteran, the retiree, almost retired, right? But it's you guys that are our people that we trust to take care of this. 2.9% was my tax bill. Come on, it's supposed to be 2%. You guys are the ones that are holding the checkbook. Our checkbook for the township. Say, no, we can't do this. It's like your own checkbook. Do you write checks if you don't have the money in the account? Well, you don't have the money in the account from all these people here. You don't have the money, so you can't write the checks. You have to stop spending our money. You have to sit there and you have to say, okay, 10% cuts all over the place, and back down. You can't go for every frivolous thing. The $2.9 million for the sports fields, come on, cut us a break. $400,000 for an armored car that we used how many times? $400,000 plus training. That's totally ridiculous. It's over $500,000. I'll bet you when you add it all up for that armored car, it's probably $1 million for all the training that went into it and the storage and everything else. Back down. You have our checkbook. Just use some common sense. Where is common sense? I'm looking at all of you. And all of you, when you talk into the microphone, speak with authority. Please, you're our authority. Please use our checkbook wisely. That's all I'm asking from you.
May I respond?
You have a comment?
Sir, I'd like to.
You have to speak into the microphone like I did.
Can you hear me?
No. No, you have to speak into the microphone.
Okay. I'm going to try and talk. My throat hurts a little bit tonight. I apologize if I can't.
Well,
react.
move the microphone closer. I'm sorry.
It doesn't go any closer.
All right.
I'm sorry.
Waiting.
Okay, Ken. If that vehicle that we spent all that money on saves one person, is it worth it?
No. Not $1 million.
Okay.
No. Because there's a lot more that we can spend $1 million on than one vehicle that is never going to be used.
So if our officers have to go into a situation where they're putting their lives...
I'm sorry for interrupting. Camden County has one of those vehicles, and we already know that.
And there are how many municipalities in Camden County?
How many times are we going to need 2 armored vehicles in Camden County?
Ken, if we have to send our officers into a situation and they're dealing with somebody with guns, rapid-fire guns, why shouldn't we arm them with the best that we can give them to protect them and their families?
All right, right there, you have the wrong idea. This is not a police state. This is not a police state. De-escalation is supposed to be the primary thing. De-escalation. Do not confront force with force. De-escalation first, before anything else. And there is no reason why Camden County should have 2 armored vehicles and one that we pay out of our tax money.
Ken, we have 24 square miles in this town.
Winslow has more.
They don't have one.
And Camden has a lot more people.
They don't have one.
That's right. Camden County does. We don't need one.
Now, Ken, may I address your second issue with regard to the sports fields?
Go ahead.
Okay. I was in Camden over the weekend and just sitting in the hospital waiting room, and a gentleman was there, and we struck up a conversation about Camden. And he was really unhappy about living in Camden. And I asked him, I said, well, I see all these wonderful things that are going on. I mean, they're really doing a wonderful job in the center of the city. He said, but they're not doing anything else. They're not giving the children in this area an opportunity.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Where are you going with this? Because this has no relationship, whatever, with Gloucester Township. It has no bearing on the 28-year-old that can't afford her house or the guy that's being retired. It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, if I
And you're not even responding to my question.
Can I articulate my thought, please?
I'm trying to let you, but you're not anywhere near where
Well, maybe
we're asking.
Maybe you haven't given me an opportunity to finish. I mean, if you want to shout me down, that's fine. I'll stop talking. Okay? I see it.
No, we're not trying to shout you down. We're trying to ask for a decent response.
Well, then I'd like to give that response.
Please.
Okay. So this gentleman in Camden, okay, and I'm making an analogy, okay, their situation to ours. We are giving our children something to do, something to keep them off the streets. That's what we're doing in this town. And a byproduct, excuse me, but a byproduct of doing that is people will perceive this town as an enjoyable place to live and maybe want to raise their family in this town, which would
All right. I'm sorry. I had the floor, but I'm really sorry. But you're going somewheres that people out here are not even listening to you.
Which can increase the property values. If you go to a lot of the other towns,
I'm sorry, Mr.
Comments. He has the floor. Ron, thank you. Thank you, Ron.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, but Councilman is not responding to what we're asking. He's off the wall on it, and as you hear, they're not receptive to what you're talking about. They're thinking about something different, and you're thinking about something different.
Mr. Hale, can we allow Mr. Hutchinson to finish if he chooses to?
Well, how long is it going to take? Because everybody's getting bored out here with him talking. I'm sorry. It's the truth.
Okay, Ken. Vince back there said that no one up here is showing any passion. The second we do, we're shouted down. Now, I ask you, do you want to hear something, or do you want to shout us down and tell us that our opinions are terrible?
We want straightforward answers, no big story. We've already heard fairy tales when we were little guys. So when you're telling me about somebody you talked to in Camden, you're telling us a fairy tale. You're not telling us from your heart.
Well, I see a lot of people here in this audience who've had children playing recreational sports in this town.
I myself for 3 of them.
I've also heard a gentleman in the audience say at 65, nobody should have to pay school taxes. Well, what about when their children were in schools? Should the people who were 65 at that age have said the same thing? What would the schools have had to do? You know, I'll tell you, you don't have to like what I have to say, but if you think about the logic that you're trying to get us to follow, you would have anarchy. You would have no viable police presence. Your schools would be worse off. And your
I'm
property
sorry.
values would be a lot less.
Daniel Hutchinson?
Yes, Ken.
I'm sorry, I can't vote for you next year.
I know.
I'm sorry because you don't have the same ideas of the people of Gloucester Township. I don't know where you're coming from on this, and really the people out here don't have an idea on where you're coming from because you're not being succinct and telling us what you're about. And that's what I'm asking the council to do, is look at the checkbook as your own personal checkbook and cut what you have to. You don't pay all your bills if you don't have the money in a checking account. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Hill. Anyone else? You had spoken already earlier. Mr. Hill?
Thank you. Sorry?
No, the gentleman behind.
Hill. You're Hill. I'm Hill. Close enough.
So,
We have your name
I'm
and
Fred
your address,
Hill.
please.
Glendora, New Jersey.
Your name?
Fred Hill.
Thanks.
Yeah. I had an idea of what I was going to say here, and then I started hearing you saying about how our tank is so important because it may save one person's life, an officer. I have many friends that are Gloucester Township Police. I like them dearly. I think they do a great job. I understand what they're up against. But that thinking of yours stops with the police and doesn't extend to the people. Because when the police have so many ongoing heroin investigations and heroin houses in our town, where they're sitting there watching kids come in and buy heroin and die on an overdose on the heroin that was bought while you were watching, to me, means that you value your police's lives more than our children, which I have a big problem with.
That's insane. You know, that is insane.
How many heroin houses have we busted in the last year?
Well, Mr. Hill, that is garbage.
Thank you.
No, you know something? Ever since this meeting began, you've been sitting in the back of the room,
Really?
spouting garbage, yelling from the back.
I got here at 9 o'clock, so.
You know what? It's terrible. And now what you're saying, you're indicting the entire police department.
No, I'm saying that the ongoing heroin investigations should be acted on so that no more children OD on their watch. No more. Because I think our children's lives are as important as our officers. So if a tank is so important, let's use that tank, bust in on these heroin houses that we are watching now, and bust them. You don't want to bust them? Is that what you're saying? Which part don't you agree with what I said?
The second when you open your mouth.
Oh, I got you. That's the difference between me and you. You understand? You were elected to be my voice. I don't need you to be my voice. I'm not one of these people who will beg. I am a completely different type of person. Ask your little girlfriend up here. She'll let you know, okay?
Sir.
I would also like to make another suggestion. I would suggest 4 inches of plexiglass for this dais, because if you're going to keep doing this to these people, some of these people who can't afford to eat or feed their kids are going to get desperate and come in and deal with you in a different way. So if I were you, I'd take some of your surplus and get some plexiglass. You're all scumbags, and have a great day.
You hear me? Thank you for your comment.
You're a scumbag. Come down and talk to me, lady, or meet me outside.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Going forward, I ask that everyone be respectful of the speakers and the speakers on this dais.
Clear the room.
Do we all agree to that?
Clear the room.
That's a threat.
We're going to entertain 3 more speakers maximum. 1, 2.
Can I get back in line?
You spoke again.
Can I
Sorry.
get back in line, right? If everybody else has spoken.
We're going to have 3 more speakers.
Hi, my
Yes,
name's
ma'am.
Joanne Pagaro. I live at 10 Sumter Court.
I'm sorry. Can I have your name again? I'm sorry.
Joanne Pagaro, 10 Sumter Court.
Okay.
I want to know if all this tonight did anything to help us up here. Did any of you guys take any of this into consideration and want to help us at the least little bit?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
What are you going to do for us? What's our next step? Where are we going? Because going here is not getting us anywhere. We're just keep circling around. It's the wagons are circling. Do something. Tell us where to go, what to do. We can't afford to live in this town anymore. I'm 70 years old and still working. That's ridiculous.
Joanne?
I get up 3 o'clock every morning to go to work. I need some help. What are you going to do for me?
Joanne, I'm going to tell you right now, there's nothing we can do this budget cycle. But I will tell you this. The next budget cycle, I will remember this.
You will remember this? How are you going to remember me after all these people here? Tell me that. Tell me what you're going to do for me, because I, believe it or not, pay your salary. Now I'm asking you to help me pay my bills. So what are you going to do? You're going to take my name, you're going to keep me informed, you're going to take the phone up. What are you going to do for me?
I'm going to remember this audience as a collective.
No, I want you to remember me, not the audience. I'm fighting for all these people. I'm going to take an air conditioner out of my window to give to that lady tonight. You know why? Because she don't have anything. And I get up and go to work the next morning. You're going to go home and you're going to think about this for 5 minutes. And then you're done. You're washing hands like we do every year. It is true. It is true, because you didn't do anything for us last year. You're not going to do anything for us this year.
Joanne, the taxes have been somewhat stable in the past few years.
They're not stable. How could you say that? They go over here. We called to have an appointment with the mayor, and we were told our taxes were going up this year and they're going up next year. How do you know that already? She called.
No, we don't. I don't know.
Well, that's what the mayor's office told her.
That's news to me.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Something's got to be done. You didn't say a word, you didn't say a word, you didn't say a word. You said something. You didn't say anything, you didn't say anything, and nobody here. So where do you really give a damn about us? You don't.
I know it's, if I
It's
can.
frustrating.
I know it
It's
is.
frustrating to know that we got to get up as seniors and do all that we do to pay your salaries, and you don't give a shit about us one bit. Not one bit. Sorry, that's all Next election, I think you guys are in for a shock, because everybody's
I'm
fed
gonna
up.
go door to door.
It's ridiculous. All this time wasted tonight. Not even going to take it under consideration.
My name is Cliff Lash. I live at 13 Cypress Point Court
Hi, Cliff. How are you?
in Valley Brook. And just listening to all this and just watching, as everybody said, how stoic all you people are. I wish I was a comedian so I could get some kind of rise. You've handled yourself very well. Sir, you tried the best you could. I coached in this township for 20 years. We used to go out and cut the grass ourselves, line it. The kids played on crabgrass. They didn't need these fields that you just went out and spent all this money on. It's just an inconsideration as far as I'm concerned. Just because you go to Mount Laurel, you go to Cherry Hill, and your kid plays soccer on the turf field, well, we got to have one here. It doesn't make sense. Look around you. This community is gray-haired people. The few young people that try to make a living here or tried it, they're just telling you they can't afford it. Ma'am, I'm speaking. Ma'am, I appreciate it, but I listen to you. I've been in this community for 38 years, 10 years longer than that woman was alive. I moved out of Broadmoor so I could get away from the taxes. And I moved to Valley Brook, which is not the divorce capital. Believe me, I listened to everything you people have been saying.
So that was adding some levity.
And yeah, well, you didn't get a laugh out of me, you're not going to get a laugh, I'm not going to get a laugh out of any of you, that's for sure. But we need a break in our taxes here. I'm 70 years old. Again, I am a Vietnam veteran too. I served so you people could sit up there and be as stoic. You, I haven't seen you even smile. I don't know how long you've been around. Ladies,
Sir,
thank you for being here. We enjoyed your presence.
sir, please refrain from making personal comments.
All right, again.
Please.
Again, what are you, I can clean this building out for you right now. I can have them walk out of here in 38 seconds. Are you going to do anything about what anybody said tonight?
Absolutely.
When?
Okay. We cannot do anything with your budget this year.
Why?
Okay? Because those services have to be provided. We have to honor contracts. We have to pay bills. Sir, I ask you this, Cliff, where do you think we could cut services?
It's too late now. The dog's out of the barn.
Cliff has
The dog's out of the barn.
Okay?
You just,
going
look,
forward.
give me an abatement. Give me a 5-year abatement so I can die without having to pay any more taxes.
Cliff, I'm asking you a question. Where can we cut services?
Well, obviously you didn't have to go out and buy turf and put a turf field in and buy grass.
All right, what else? So no, you don't want to enhance our recreational services for
No, you still have the recreational services. As I said, I coached here for 20 years. We cut the lawns, we lined them, we took care of them. I was on the committee that had Ann Mullen open up that place in Valley Brook.
Okay.
It wasn't so that we could just spend money, it was just so we had a place that we could call our own instead of using the backs of the schools, like everybody else had, every other township. Again, I agree with you.
But do you think at the time, Cliff, people were opposed to constructing that site? Because
Certainly they were.
Because they could have used the fields behind the school.
Certainly,
correct?
certainly.
All right, so what else do you have? What other services do you propose?
Well, what else do you want me to say? I mean, do you want me to say cut a couple police officers? Is that what you want me to do? Say something stupid like that?
No, but if you're going to make suggestions, we're going to take this into consideration.
Well, all right, well, let's just start with recreation. We can go through the pool, we can go, but let me get back to what I said.
Okay.
We can clear the room in 32 seconds. Are you going to do anything?
I just said that we would.
No, see you. Thank you very
Thank
much
you,
for your
Abby.
time.
Good evening. Ma'am, you spoke. We have one last speaker, Mr. Crowe.
Good evening, Council. Tom Crone, Gloucester Township. I would actually hope, even at this late hour, you would still open it up. There's just a few people that didn't speak, and I'm asking on their behalf if you just let them speak. And even people don't want to speak
Are you
again.
willing to give up your time, sir?
When I'm done, there's time, and
But we've
absolutely.
had we have multiple
Okay,
speakers.
then stop the time if you're going to lecture me on how many times. I have the floor, and I really wanted to come up here
Tom,
and be
I'm
nice.
gonna give you your 5
It's
minutes.
Mr. Crone. It's Mr. Crone.
And that's Council President.
And I haven't even given you your anything yet. I've listened to a lot of people tonight, a lot of frustration, okay? I've only listened to Mr. Hutchinson, who actually said something, and the rest of you is typical. You sit there. I'm one of the people that comes on a semi-regular basis to meetings, so I'm not one of the 5 that's always here, but I'm here. And I know who you guys are, you know who I am. What I listened to tonight was gut-wrenching. You were elected to represent the people, not ask them what their suggestion is on what to cut. You should have had the suggestion on what to cut, when, where, and why. The problem is, you're going to raise taxes this year, and it's going to hurt. And you hear everybody out here being hurt. Mr. Hutchinson let the cat out of the bag. So when next year's election cycle rolls around, and the mayor's up for re-election, and whoever else up here is up for re-election, huzzah! We listened. We're going to cut something, and we're going to hold the line on taxes. That's what this is about. Now, I'm not going to give a straw man argument. I didn't talk to anybody in Camden. I didn't have a conversation with someone. I have a daughter. I have a wife. I have 2 sons. My daughter wants to be a teacher. She's in college. She's working. My wife and I are working hard to make sure she's educated. We've told her in no uncertain terms, get out. Do not stay in Gloucester Township. My wife and I chose to live in Gloucester Township. We left Philadelphia because of years of being there and seeing the decline of a major American city. We wanted to move to the suburbs and give our kids the American dream. It's turning into the American nightmare. There are foreclosed houses, short sale houses, empty houses on every block. You can have the nicest sports fields in the world. If the schools are in Class A and the taxes are high and you have all the empty buildings, no one will move here, regardless of how manicured the sports fields are. And by the way, when my son, since he's been 3 years old, played hockey in this town and still does, we had the little Thunderdome and we used the indoor rink. And everybody seemed to have a good time. Is it nice that he has nicer rinks to play on? Yeah. But am I willing to give that up so him and his mother, we can have more money to give him the things he needs? To buy a new lacrosse stick, to buy more gloves, which by the way, it's only taken 6 years to finally get lacrosse in the high schools, where most of the sports scholarship money is coming from. Gloucester Township doesn't even have it. There's no straw man here. These are real people. Tommy, Madeline, and Daniel. They won't live here. My grandchildren will not come and visit me in Gloucester Township. My wife and I are already looking to get out. We can't because of our house. We'll lose money. And where are we going to go? down south, North Carolina, South Carolina. Taking a trip to Nashville to take a look at that. Was in Gettysburg this past week. Same size house, same price. Taxes were almost 40% lower. That house had a back porch that looked onto the battlefield. That's prime property, and the taxes were 40% less. Okay, Gettysburg is a smaller town than Gloucester Township. We went to Frederick, Maryland, exactly the same size. They're 22 square miles, 68,000 people. Median house price, $320,000. Affluent community. Taxes. On that same $360,000 house, less than $4,000. So tell these people, after all the gut-wrenching stories they told tonight, the poor woman who can't fix her furnace, the young girl back there who wants to live here, she's from here. But we get straw man arguments, we get smiles, and we get all kinds of other things, or no reaction at all, and placation coming from our employees. This is for everyone out there. I'm done with them. You want to change? You want something to change? Vote each and every one of them out and never give them your vote again. Have a nice night.
Second. All those in favor? All those in favor? Aye. Directors? Only directors?
I have nothing to add. Nothing to report.
Just bring the information. I'll tell you this will tell you what kind of evidence that you need to bring in my office. Okay? So that's what you need to look for. Okay?
Folks, our meeting is still taking place. If you could take your conversations to the back. Mr. Hutchinson?
I was sincere,
You guys patrol. They don't want to
dealing with a real tough situation. And I had a conversation with the gentleman in the waiting room, and what he does, that conversation gave me his view of what it's like to live in an impoverished situation where they have no hope, nothing to give. The children there are desperate, versus us, what we have here, which I would say we have an abundance of opportunities. But I think we have to challenge ourselves to weigh these two things next year and make sure that they are an equipoise and that we take into consideration the poor woman there who doesn't have an air conditioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
I too agree with Mr. Hutchison on his comments. I would like to thank everyone for coming out this evening and thank you for your comments.
I appreciate everyone's sentiment. What I really appreciate, there were several people who were sincere in asking for help and wanting a solution. We also had a few who, out of frustration, I think, allowed emotion to get into the way of the message. But people have been heard. I'm frustrated about that. I live in the same township. It bothers me to be called names. Uncaring, smug, people who don't know me, who have worked in this township 15 years. It bothers me.
So that, a lot of the people weren't right to say things like that. It wasn't right. But I think just everybody's just so frustrated.
It's frustration.
You know what it is?
I recognize it for
I'm not
what it
a
is.
public speaker.
But
I don't like to stand up and talk. But what's really frustrating us with this last tax increase is that we feel like fools. We're paying taxes on houses that are worth almost more than a quarter less than what we're paying.
Just like-
You guys should just reevaluate us without us having to wait a year.
But just
It's
like
not
all of
fair.
us, who are in the same situation.
But why is it,
And-
they're stealing
Folks,
from us.
she has her, it's council comments.
I'm talking to her.
No, but it's her comments.
Excuse the emotion. I just worked here so long. I work with our kids. We're not a poor school district. Yes, taxes down south are cheaper because the schools aren't as good as ours. That's why there's no base for their schools. I've investigated going down south before this meeting. This is not just Gloucester Township, this is New Jersey. It's an issue that we're having, and we're all struggling with it. And we're people just like you are, trying to make the best decisions we can. It doesn't always support everybody what everybody wants, but we do the best we can. It's not here to railroad or hurt the township. We live here too. So, I apologize for the emotion.
Thank you, Mrs. Stubbs.
Mrs. Winters, I do appreciate everyone's comments. I listened to everything that was said. I agree with the comments of the other council members. At this point, we can't change it immediately, but it is something we can look in the future at. I do have family and friends that are in some of those situations, and it is something that I take to heart. You know, thank you.
Can I ask a question? Can I just ask a quick question?
Sir, after the meeting, it's public comments over, sir. Council's.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I've been in this township for 16 years, and I've watched my taxes almost triple since I've gotten here, okay? But for somebody to say that I have no emotion, I've been in healthcare for 25 years. I have 100 employees underneath me, and the number one thing that I preach is customer satisfaction, patient satisfaction. Just because I don't show any laughter or don't make any faces doesn't mean that I don't care. I do care. I live here. I care about this township. I'm sorry that taxes went up. It stinks. I agree. I understand. Thank you. Everybody enjoy National Night Out.
Mrs. Prado, I think I agree with what all of the other council members said before me. Your voices were heard tonight. Just because we don't show emotion, we don't smile, we don't show our faces don't change, doesn't mean we don't listen. If any of you sat there and watched, I know for myself, I have a page and a half of notes here. I have written all the names down of every person that got up here and spoke, and I also wrote notes about what their concerns were. Your voices were heard. I'm sorry that I didn't smile, I didn't say thank you to every person, but I heard you. I heard you. And I think we do have work to do going forward. Thank you. Mr. Mercado.
I want to thank everyone for coming out this evening. Earlier today, my son, he joined the gym with me. He's a little flat-chested 14-year-old kid, doesn't have much of a body to him, but he joined the gym with me, and I had told him, I said, I'm going to be a little late tonight. And I told him what was going to be taking place here. And he had asked me, well, what are you going to tell him? I said, I'm going to level with him. And my goal tonight was to explain to you what your tax bill consists of. Explain to you the services that we provide as a township. There are comments that were made. I think that we can disagree without being disagreeable. Unfortunately, there were some folks that wanted to make personal comments and attacks on individuals here and even on people in the audience. We're better than this. But as a township, I've lived in this township for 17 years. And our tax increase, it's a tough pill to swallow. But there are services that we still have to continue to provide to our residents. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, you call 911, our police department is there. You call our fire is there. We educate your students through the school district. Now the school district makes up 49 cents of each dollar. We're educating students We're providing services to our community. I do appreciate the comments that were made today. I have notes as well and names of individuals that we need to reach out to. Unfortunately, the budget has passed. We can't do anything to correct that budget this year. But going forward, we're going to have to take a closer look at our budget, and there may have to be cuts in services and in things that we provide to our community. But that's something that, I know Tom, I spoke to him over the weekend, and I believe he had asked his department head and CFO, let's start working on the budget for next year. Correct, Tom?
Yes.
And this does not happen that early. So I thank you for your comments. On a lighter note, National Night Out takes place on August 2nd. That is through our police department. There are neighborhood events and parties that take place throughout our community, about 40 or so, Chief Earl, probably a little bit more. It's an opportunity for you to meet with the residents in your community for National Night Out. So with that, thank you very much for coming out this evening. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone. Sir, you have a question? Then you